It says preparing the live stream now. Bottom of set up your meeting for YouTube Live. He said he already set it. That's what he said. He said he already set the title. I'll let him do it that way. All right, is it showing up? Yeah.
Shit, there we go.
Yeah. Let's see over here, bro. It says live. Let me see, bro.
Damn.
Sorry, it's already muted.
Oh,
you gotta mute. Yeah, mute. Yeah, you gotta mute. That way it doesn't have that double. So plus me on
Sure.
hey, Shalom, I'm Yetiza. How you feeling, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, and you?
Yeah, man. You fired up out?
Yeah.
Hey, man, the armies are coming out. we got to keep on the same trajectory. I need to talk to you briefly after class, okay?
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, man, we're gonna stay on the not just the path, but stay on the level of intensity, you know?
Yeah.
The intensity is designed to be measured by the clarity of the scriptures, by how and by the intensity. Although I be screaming my ass off, the intensity is not measured by the screaming. The intensity, that's my passion, but the intensity is measured by how clear can you take a scripture and make it for somebody to apply it in their life. The more questions they have about it, that means the more nebulous your teaching could be. When I say nebulous, cloudy, the more vague, you know what I mean? That means something that's not being made clear for the student. You guys let me know once it's up and running.
It's up and running. It's going now.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm running around here passing time, filling stuff. Anyway, so listen, shalom, brothers and sisters. It's good to be with you, brothers and sisters, again this Sabbath evening. Last week, brother, we went into, we were dealing with what I call an entry-level mentality. And the reason why I say entry-level is because the truth, there's a mentality that we have to be crafted into. We're using the scriptures when we first get in. And then once crafted into that mentality, we're supposed to maintain and build upon it. That was the theme for last week. And we basically went through Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 6, verses 18 to the end, where it was telling us the objective was what? To come unto her. When it says her, it was speaking of the wisdom, not calling the wisdom of female. It's talking about the experience and the process that leads to wisdom. It said, come into that process, enter into that process as one that ploweth and soweth. That means, because why? Because you're the field that's being plowing is the preparation process before teaching, in other words, plowing on a field in true husbandry, right? Farm work. The plowing process is taking a field that haven't been prepared to be farmed and prepping it. And it's hard, demanding, strenuous work. You understand? So that's what the Most High was telling us. I want to continue on that note. The mentality. Let me get my book. The mentality. Let me say this. Let's do this. Let's go back to that chapter. I just want to read a couple of, maybe even only one verse from it, just to set the pace from where we're going to continue. We're going to stay in Ecclesiastes, but from here, we're going to chapter 6 to read a verse or two. Then we're going to go to chapter 11 and continue. And we're going to continue on this trajectory, all right? So in chapter 6, I want Actually, I just want verse 18 and 19. Chapter 6, verse 18 and 19. In the Apocrypha. And then from there, we're going to bounce on over to chapter 11.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 and verse 18. My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shalt thou find wisdom to thine old age.
Now, when it says, so shalt thou find wisdom till thine old age, that means the process that you're getting ready to submit yourself to is designed to what? It's designed to produce wisdom. And when I say produce wisdom, it simply means it's designed to equip you with the ability to make the proper decisions in every circumstance that you find yourself into. And that, listen, and so when it says wisdom and the proper application, it don't mean it's always going to benefit you in the sense of a personal gain. You got to know that the word we just read here last week, that the process is about being put in yokes and fetters of iron. It's talking about being disciplined and having, and listening, and being tamed. You know, we're all wild ass animals coming out of the world, coming out of the streets, coming out of church, coming out of the university, coming out of organized sports, all the platforms that we had where we didn't have the truth. We was animals in our own right. So this process is designed to take us and civilize us spiritually. It's designed to take us and make us and make us functionable and usable as conduits for other people to come in. So when it says, so shalt thou find wisdom to thine own age, brother, it's talking about being equipped from the time that you enter in and you begin to be plowed and sown. Your mind, when you turn the field, a field that's being plowed over, you're breaking up fallow ground, hard ground. You're breaking up a lawn. You got a lot of people that's turning their lawns into gardens because of things that's going down socially now and economically. So that's hard ass work, but that's your mind, that's your brain, that topsoil of your brain, all the information that's there on the surface of your mind, everything that you think you know about the Most High, everything that you think you know about yourself, everything you think you know about life, that has to be taken up off the top and turned over. Then what? Just like a field, then you got to make the rows for the seeds to be planted. Then the planting process is not the end of it. That field have to be continually what? It have to be continually maintained. It have to be continually attended. And that's what the teachers are there for, right? And the teachers have to have gone through that process themselves to effectively, I said this, I'm going to say it again. This is a torch of Yahweh Shai, the light that the Most High got us handed on to you, brothers and sisters. And no man can pass on a torch that they haven't received and carry their entire servitude. I say servitude because that's what this is. We're servants for now and nothing more. We got to get out of this. I told a early brother today, and I'm going to say this too, because I say this out of love. I say this out of respect. All you brothers and sisters, you're supposed to call me brother or kawakab. You don't call me sir. Sir in Hebrew is Lord, Adawan. You don't call me, I'm not your Lord. You don't call me priest. You guys have been with me long enough, when I say with me, meaning in the teaching, long enough to know just by my use of words that I'm not priest. I'm not even priestly. I'm a Yetazah. You can't even use me. You can't even use priest as an adjective to describe me, let alone a title, right? Right? And that ain't something that I quote. That's not something that I quote, strive to be non-priestly. It's just, I'm just as much of an ongoing work in progress as you are. I might be a couple of minutes ahead of you in the process, but I'm still on the same production line of the Most High. So I say that with the brothers and sisters, because sometimes they'll get calls, somebody will write me and they'll say, hey, shalom, shalom, is cool. But brothers, sisters, y'all can get out of calling me sir or priest. Just call me brother Kawakab. And why do I do that? Because that keeps me in my place. That reminds me that I am number one, your brother, and number two, your servant. That's what it reminds me of. And I'm being real with me because I'm the type of dude that need that reminding. If you're gonna You know what I mean? That's why the Most High said, Christ came and told us on behalf of the Most High that the Heavenly Father is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. And that means truthful about as much as you could be truthful about until more truth about yourself is revealed to you. So the truth about me is I know what I gotta fight and keep down. And pride is so subtle. Pride is one of Satan's greatest weapons because it can mask itself as so many other things that have good intentions. That's why I make it a point to do what it takes to keep me in my place, in my own eyes, as well as your own eyes. And let me say this, and that's something you're supposed to measure everybody by. Christ had already told us, he that exalteth himself shall be abased. And he that what? Abaseth himself for the gospel's sake shall be exalted. And that's when Christ come back. So any work, if I ever get to the point where all of a sudden I'm making this about me, y'all gotta, if you love me, you put it in the comment. Hey, brother, you talked about you a little bit too much. You pushed too much of you that night. And I don't mean using me in examples. I'm talking about taking credit for teaching men. Of course, the Most High is using me as an instrument to teach. He's using all that's teaching as an instrument. But then you have many of us that's getting caught up into what? The cult and the personality, the cult of personality, the personality of men. And our job, everybody that sits in this seat, our job is to channel your attention to Christ. Our job is to channel your attention to Christ to the Most High through Christ. And then the effort that we pour in is supposed to be, now this is my personal thing, but it's based on what we read in the scriptures, is the objective is to invest enough time and quality teaching into you that you grow to be a teacher and a counselor of myself. And brothers be acting like that something is wrong with that, but how come that not, why shouldn't that be the objective, seeing that the times are getting worse? Seeing that you got, like I said, it's 2021, I'm yet to almost the middle of the year now. Right, tomorrow is May 1st, one more month. And you know, once June comes, the rest of the year fly by. And we're running around here dealing with people, a generation who the devil is simply trying to get them to do things that you and I never thought about. Sex changes, and you know what I mean? It's common knowledge about drinking baby blood and adrenochrome and all of that. We wouldn't talk about that back in 88, 89, 90, 91, 92 when I came in. Niggas was just talking about the Crips and the Bloods and the troops that never held up. You know what I mean? But so if the generations today have to confront greater evils than we did, then isn't it only befitting that we're supposed to strive to make them a greater teacher than us? Isn't it only befitting that the objective has to be to give them more clarity than we got? That's what it's supposed, what it have to be, because the fight is a greater fight. And the scriptures tell you that. It says Satan is going to come down with great wrath because he knows that he has what? But a short time. That means the fewer time he has, right? The fewer time that's left, that means the more intense his assault on us is going to be. That's why the scriptures say what? And the dragon cast out a great flood against the woman. It's talking about all the lies, all the knowledge, all the program, all the campaigning to get as many of us as he can. How come we're not supposed to teach to make this generation far greater than our own? And so that's what my classes, y'all have to forgive me for having just abruptly come out of apocalyptic blitz. We will get back to that. But this is a presentation, right? That the Most High said, you got to do this because I'm going to say this, y'all, we don't have a whole lot of time. And the objective is to get as many of you brothers out there to come to where the food is, to come to where you can be physically, mentally, spiritually prepared to what? To endure what's on the pike. Listen, it might be comfortable now. When I say comfortable, I mean we might be able to do this on the YouTube and whatever presentation we on for a little bit longer. But you do not want to be isolated And having grown as a young man, accustomed to this virtual teaching only, when there was time and space for you to get to the place and have your mind, your body, and your spirit crafted to endure these last days. I'm going to tell you right now, that's the heaviest thing on my mind, where people, we really believe because we have these modes and means of communication available to us, that that's the end all be all, but it's not. It's still bait. It's still an instrument, and only an instrument that the Most High is using to cut your attention. And for those that are in the position, go to where the food is. Go to where the call is coming from. Go to where the light is shining from. That's what the objective is, y'all, so that you all know. Now, let's dive on into this thing. Verse 18. You read verse 18. Read verse 19.
Verse 19, Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 19. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits. For thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of her fruits right soon.
So then from there, we went on to all of the verses that drop about how she's unpleasant to the unlearned. And that's really a mental and intellectual disposition that all of us are in when we come into the truth. But the difference between those that come into truth and grow and blossom and those that come into the truth and wither and die is truly what? Having learned about Christ, having been exercised in walking in the path of Christ, which is abiding in Christ, right? And having embraced the process. That's what gives you longevity. So that's what we're going to go into. But while you're in this process, while you're being drugged through the mud in the spiritual battle, what mentality are you supposed to be in? Well, you're supposed to be, I'm going to tell you the truth, you're supposed to be loving this. You're supposed to be loving it. Now, that might sound like a fictitious demand, but that's what I was. And the brothers I grew up around in this that was locked in, brother, we fed each other's love for it while we caught hell. Now, I'm gonna prove that. I said chapter 11, but I want to go to chapter 18 and read verse 29 first. Then we're going to come back to Ecclesiastes chapter 11. This is what? In the entire time, our disposition while being forged in the Spirit of the Most High is supposed to be one of fear and appreciation. Now read that on the Yetazah.
Ecclesiastes chapter 18 and verse 29. They that were of understanding in sayings became also wise themselves, and poured forth exquisite parables.
Now stop. That's talking about the fruit of having been what? The fruit that you began to bear, having gone through the process. They that were what? Read it again. It's showing you where they were at. Continue.
Verse 29. They that were of understanding in sayings.
Now stop. They that were of understanding in sayings. What sayings? The sayings that we're getting from our fathers. Remember, it told us in chapter 18 that the process is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. So what is that understanding? I went over this last week. Y'all got to refer to it. I'll touch on it again. The understanding is an appreciation of the process that you've undergone. And your appreciation is measured, not by you saying, oh, thank you, thank you. Your appreciation is measured by you being able to go through that process and duplicate the results. That's how you show you understand. You meet a new brother on the street, you try to teach, and the brother's interested, but he got questions that you can't answer. Somebody comes and shows you the process that you have to take a person through. And when I say the process, I'm not talking about no prescriptive. That's the whole point. You got to be able to read spirits. You got to be able to listen and know what is being said so that you can give the proper answer. It all goes back to the verse, study to show thyself approved. So the first time, you're not really effective. Why? Because you're new. You haven't been in long enough to exercise this process, what? Introducing the truth to somebody. And there's so many subtleties, you're going to find out As time goes on, you ain't gonna just be dropping. Yeah, brother, somebody says something, you just go into the Bible. You're gonna have to sometimes talk for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, then let it go. When I say let it go, y'all didn't exchange information. Hey, man, it's good talking to you, brother. Or it could be that this day, 30 minutes into the conversation, let me show you. All that comes with time. The ability to discern what approach. But that's what, when it says they that were of understanding, that's saying what? They that had that time and opportunity to have this ability exercised into them, what? That's what understanding is, the ability to recreate it. That's how you know it. It's like a teacher. How do you know you understand the math equation that's being taught? The teacher teaches you the formula. She takes and goes to the math book and goes and does the examples. They always have like 1 or 2 examples. Then they get to the true equations. Okay, Johnny, come up here and do number 1. And then she'll talk to you. The teacher will say, okay, now you got to do it. Remember the order of remember the formula and remember the order of the steps. First, you got to do this. You got to multiply. You got to drop this. Then you got to do that, right? We're dealing with, who knows, algebra, some deep algebra. I don't know. Point is, it's all a series of steps that have to be followed rigidly. That's what mathematics is about. So what happens is the teacher teaches you the formula. They go through many examples to make sure that what? That they taught you the formula. Then in order for them to gauge your understanding of the formula, what do? They say, okay, Johnny, come up here and I want you to do number 3. And he does number 3 and he does it correctly. Then she says, whoa, she's impressed. Well, listen, I want you to jump down and do number 5. Number 5 is a bit more complicated, but it still has to follow this. It still abides under the rules of number 3. So he does number 5 and he follows the what? He follows the protocol. He follows the order of the steps that he has to do to solve that equation. Then she's so impressed. She says, I can't believe this. He really got, I thought he was in the back always telling jokes, but he be listening, you know? So coming now, I want you to do number 12. Number 12 is the final equation on that page, and it's the one that presents the most difficulty. But he comes and he aces it. What has he done? He's demonstrated his understanding. And the only way that he and the teacher can appreciate that he understands it, they can recognize the fact that he understands it, is that what? That he came and duplicated the process effectively. That's how we're supposed to be in the spirit. The only thing is the rules are not rigid. And that process you learn by being in the work under men that's been doing it effectively. So he that became understanding in sayings, meaning the teachings. Go ahead, Amayatazar.
Ecclesiastes chapter 18 verse 29. They that were of understanding in sayings became also wise themselves and poured forth exquisite parables.
Yeah, so that's the objective. That the time is going to come where your wisdom is going to be such that alongside the scriptures, in auxiliary of the Bible, you're going to be able to on the dot present when it says your own exquisite parables, it's talking about the ones that you create for the circumstance that you're in to be able to make the point so that your point can be clear to whoever you're sharing it with. So today we call parables analogies. Today parables are called anecdotes. And you're going to end up talking to people being able to take the circumstance that you're in, having measured where their understanding is, and provide some type of anecdote, provide some type of analogy for them to understand the point. And say, damn, man, I see what you're saying. In other words, listen, go from there. In other words, through time. But how do you get that ability? How do you get that ability? You get that ability through 2 things, through time and steadfastness. The time is going to pass whether you hear or not. So the steadfastness is talking about your ability to stay. Go there. I'll go to chapter 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, you're going to start off at verse 20. With steadfastness is the process of being fixed in your direction, right? steadily directed. It means it's your ability, the quality of remaining firm in your purpose. These are the definitions of steadfastness. Now listen to what it tells you here. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verses 20 through 22.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 11 and verse 20. Be steadfast in thy covenant, and be conversant therein.
Go ahead.
And wax old in thy work.
Read that verse one more time uninterrupted. My bad.
Be steadfast in thy covenant, and be conversant therein, and wax old in thy work.
Three things. Be steadfast in your covenant. What is the covenant? A covenant is an agreement. And what agreement are we in? We're in an agreement with Yahweh Shai, that if we come in, believe on his name, that he will be our conduit, our mediator between ourselves and the Most High, and that what? He will speak on our behalf before the Most High. Our name will be written in his book of life, and that we will be among those that will be delivered. That's the agreement. That's the covenant. So it says, be steadfast in thy covenant. That means we have to what? Grow. Now, what are the details of the covenant? That you got to bear fruit. We're going to read that. That's John 15. You got to come in and bear fruit, and that your fruit remain. So we got to examine what are the probabilities. What do you have to invest to heighten, to increase the potential or the probability, right? Or of your fruit remaining. It all goes back to abiding in Yahweh Shai. It all goes back to walking, breathing, sleeping, eating, dreaming about what? This work. Read that verse one more time and move on down. Oh, I'm sorry. It said, and be conversant therein. That means this is what you're supposed to be talking about. This is where your mind is at. Imagine now you and I are in the truth. And then we done had our quote work day, whatever that work day may be. Let's say we went out and did some street speaking. Let's say we have a broadcast right now. Afterward, me and Amayakis are gonna have a conference. What we be doing after class, during the week, and after class on the weekend, right? So we don't get off the line and hook up and start talking about football, start talking about it be the work. We analyze the class. We prepare for the following day's workload. We converse on what has to be done, what trajectory can be taken, how far down the line, what type of fruit should it yield. This is what we talk about. All things revolving around our calling, all things revolving around our covenant with the Most High through Christ. Christ is the what? The facilitator of the covenant. He's the one that made it so that I could have a contract with the Most High. He's the lawyer. He's the advocate. And so here we are. We're supposed to what? Be steadfast. That means we're supposed to be fixed on this path. We're supposed to be completely and entirely what? Resolute in this purpose. It says, and be conversant there. I mean, this is what our conversation revolves around. Listen, and that's how you know whether or not, right, you love the Most High with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Because that's a thing, that's a dynamic that comes from within to outward. Not time. I don't have nothing else in my head. Literally. And it's been like that since the Most High showed me what's coming. And what's coming, it might seem like it's dilly-dallying, but it isn't. Like the scripture say, though it tarry, wait for it. It shall not tarry. It shall surely come. It's already here. Let me say this also. I've said this before. I'm going to repeat it. It may be a bit difficult for us to appreciate being Israelites, being awake, being in the work, going through the process that Christ said that he's looking for. You brothers are involved in taking care of one another. You brothers are involved in helping out the teachers. You are involved in whatever the Most High have shown you what your member of the body is, and you perform that, brother. I say, brother and sister, it might be a bit more difficult for you or us, I include myself, to truly appreciate the fact that the end is near. And the reason why I say that is because we're going to be protected the whole damn time. It's kind of hard, I mean, yet there's getting a sense of the starvation that's out there when you ain't starving, wrong or right.
Right.
It's very difficult to get a sense of the severity of the pandemic due to whatever the cause is when you're healthy and you're being preserved. So we have that, because of that, we have to make a conscious effort to do what? We got to make a conscious effort to be conversant, to talk about it. And what are we going to talk about if we ain't seeing nothing? That means we have to be vigilant. We have to be looking for the unfolding prophecies, y'all, and talking about it, keeping each other abreast on it, right? Keeping each other completely apprised on as much of what's going down as possible, because it's that dynamic that keeps on the forefront of our mind. Damn, this thing is right around the corner. This is right around the corner. That's why it says be conversant therein, so that we don't forget. Because the tendency to not take it as serious because we're not being directly or intensely affected by it can be misleading and make you think that it ain't bad as it is. But in India, they're burning bodies. They're trying to make you think that it's the COVID, but many believe that it's the vaccine that's got people dying and dropping dead and burning bodies, multiple bodies out in open spaces, man. It ain't. Or a lot of people believe, others from there are saying it's not that. It is the deaths are starvation due to the measures and the shutdown and the destruction of people's livelihoods because they were deemed non-essential. That's where all the death is coming from. The point is, how would we know that if we ain't talking about it? And then talking about it keeps the fact that the Most High's prophecies of delivering us and those signs that he gave Yahweh Shai to warn us about, they're unfolding because we're not experiencing them. Guess what's happening? Like I said, the fact of our preservation and comfort, because déjame gato fuera vos. Por favor. Déjalo salir. Está ahí. The fact that it is not happening to us can have a misleading effect on our consciousness. And so what handles that? Being conversant in the word of the Most High and being vigilant to look for the signs, because Esau's trying to hide them. He's doing it through censorship, making sure we don't get information. Amiyatazah, read that last part. I'm sorry, it says, and wax old in thy work. When it says wax old in thy work, that means don't go nowhere. You've been born again. Now we all are here to the death or to the deliverance, whichever comes first. That's the reality of it. We're all here until the Most High call us home or until he send Christ to come back and take us home. Did your brother raise your hand or something?
Yeah, kind of. Now, I was just going to say, does Proverbs 23, verse 23 align with this scripture right here that you referred?
Does that say, is that buy the truth and sell it not?
Yeah.
Well, it aligns with it. It's not a surgical scripture that I would detach with it, but it does carry the message of what? When it says buy the truth and sell it not, people, it's not talking about we're charging or we have to pay money to get it. It's talking about all of the things that Christ, the circumstances that we have to be able to meet. Remember, Christ said, whoever cometh to me and hate not his father, his mother, his wife, his children, the whole nine. When he said hate, he's talking about that they're not the priority, right? Whosoever follow after me must take up his cross. That's the price that you pay. That's what you're purchasing. Christ said, and every man that have left home, houses, family, for my name's sake and the gospel shall receive 100-fold more. That's the price. That's how you're buying the truth. You're making sacrifices that are putting you in a position to learn. And that's why he said, whoever don't do those things can't be my disciple. A disciple is a student. He's trying to lay down the conditions of what? Of how you're going to get taught. So in that sense, once you've given those things up for this, then you're not supposed to relinquish this experience for anything, no matter how appealing, no matter how enticing, no matter how seducing it could be. And that's why I'm trying to get brothers to pay the ultimate price. And that is what? Leave it all and get your ass down to Texas, get to San Antonio and get taught. I'm not lying. That's my objective. For the people out here, it's for here. Come on, come to class. Now, other brothers, well, how come you ain't sending to Philly? Philly can send people to themselves. That's what they teach for. What about all these other schools? They teach to bring people to their school. I teach to bring people to my work. I'm not going to lie. That's what I'm supposed to do. We're supposed to bear fruit, and we're supposed to invest in the fruit, what makes it so that they will remain. So here it's telling us to do what? To be steadfast in our covenant, to be constantly in communication concerning our covenant, and wax old in this calling. And like I said before, we're here now to the death or the deliverance, whichever comes first. We are here till the Most High call us home, or until he sends Yahweh to come and take us home. There ain't no options. Continue to read, Amayetazar, verse 21.
Verse 21. Marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Lord and abide in thy labor.
See that? Now let me say this. When it says marvel not at the works of sinners, automatically our mind goes to people in the world, cats flossing, Amayetazar, guys with the money, with the women. But this is also talking about Israelites who are being sinful in this world. Because I get the news and I see with my own eyes, and that people be, they're so into measuring spirituality, or they will measure that the Most High is with us by the numbers and the hundreds and the presentation and the elegant garments. And that ain't at all what the Most High is looking at. But then you have people that are sincere, that been striving, that been grinding at this work, and they never got over 25 people in the school, if they got that. And they'll look at that and be affected. And they'll look at the numbers. But that doesn't bother me at all, because it's all what? It's all an illusion. All you got to do is know the scriptures. What did the Most High say he would? How did he say he would be among us? Does it not say that he have scattered us into the nations, but wherever we are, he would be a small sanctuary to us? And I'll go there, Amayetazar. I always get the verses mixed up. It's either going to be Ezekiel 11 and 16 or 16 and 11. So I think it's 11 and 16. Ezekiel, because this is what mostly be affecting Israel in the work. They be too busy measuring their work by other servants. Let that servant do his thing, man. You do your work. But for the sake of experience, any steward that's been in this work as long as some of these brothers have, we all know that you don't gain masses and masses by truly working on people and turning them to Christ. And I'm going to show you that in the scripture. That's why Christ said, man, seek ye out the straight gate, for broad is the gate that leadeth to destruction, and wide is the door that, what is it? Broad is the gate that leadeth to destruction, and wide is the path, one of the two. It says, and there be many that go thereby. But what? But straight is the gate that lead to righteousness, and narrow is the path, and there be few that go by. He's already telling us what it was going to be like. Amayetazar, read that verse. Is it 11 and 16?
Huh.
Read Ezekiel chapter 11 and verse 16.
Ezekiel chapter 11 and verse 16. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord power, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary, in the countries where they shall come.
Yeah, man. The Lord said, although I have scattered them among the heathen and among the countries, yet will I be unto them as a little sanctuary in all the countries where I've scattered. So you understand? And now, why am I going here? Why do I pull that concept out in that verse with this verse? Because that's where the greatest influence for us is. Brother's been in this truth long enough. We don't be faded by the wicked people on the outside of the truth that's doing drugs. We don't be envious. The probability for those of us in the spirit of being envious about all of those that are out of the truth and quote doing well, that don't faze us. It be the men that we see and the work that we see that seems to be excelling our own. But is it excelling your own? Are 300 men being worked on? Are 500, 1,000 men being worked on? Can you really get down and make sacrifices? You understand, when you got all the money in the world? That's why the scriptures say what? Marvel not at the works of sinners. And you're going to find out a lot of these brothers that got this knowledge are sinful. They're full of sin. They're full of evil. And Israel is supposed to, talking about each servant, is supposed to stay, what we just read, supposed to stay focused and steadfast in their own work. It said, abide in thy work and be conversant therein. It didn't say abide in someone else's covenant. It said your own covenant and be conversant. I was found the only time I talk about others if I'm shedding light concerning the scriptures. Read it again, Yetazah, verse 21.
Verse 21. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 21. Marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Lord and abide in thy labor. For it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord on the sudden to make a poor man rich.
Yeah, that's talking about the sudden nature of how he'll have your work blow up, y'all. And we've experienced this. We experienced it there when I was there. Everything that was lost over a period of 18 to 20 years, the Most High had us acquire it in a period of 2.5 years, y'all. He did that. We spent I was there our first year, going through a series of campaigns, fundraising processes and campaigns that wasn't yielding fruit for ourselves. Then we went through a process where we ended up being divided. My fault. Yes, it happened. But I came back and got to work, and all these brothers locked in, and we all worked, and we all sacrificed, and we all taught. And nothing got done without hard work, constant loss, and suffering and sacrifice. But it got done in 2.5 years. So the Most High out of nowhere, just listen how he blessed the work of our hands. He blessed the work of our hands because the work of our hands was what? Doing what his word said to do. Performing what the word said to do. So he's telling you, man, you don't be focused on others. You focus on your covenant. You be conversing in that, and you abide into your old age. I'm pushing on 60 years old, I'm 57, and I feel like I first came into the truth. I'm not going to lie. Yes, I got them aches and pains from the flesh, but that pales in comparison to the fire that the Most High put in me. I'm not going to lie to you. And if I had to do it all over again, the only thing I would change is my attitude at the time when I was falling weak for lack of understanding. That's the only thing I would change. Read on down, Yetazah, verse 22.
Verse 22. The blessing of the Lord is in the reward of the godly, and suddenly he maketh his blessing to flourish.
So he's telling you. So you know what the truth is? You're not supposed to be looking for the blessings per se. I'm going to give you the secret of this, huh? You're not supposed to be doing it because the blessing is coming. The Most High is a man of his word. You're supposed to be doing it because this is what you've been called to do. This is your purpose. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And you're supposed to be maximizing, right, the opportunity in this time of your life. in other words, the desire of the blessing itself sometimes can become an obstacle to you. Why? Because now you're focused on a reward as opposed to what? As opposed to your calling, as opposed to whether the Most High was going to give it to you or not. You're doing this because this is what you were created to do. You're not doing this because there's a payday at the end. Yeah, there's a payday at the end. But what's the difference between you and the guy that didn't get called in? The difference is you was called to do this and he wasn't. So we're not here to get paid. We're here to work. We're here to serve. I'm a Yetzirah.
Yeah.
I made a statement, right? I had said that the measure, right, the entire time that we're going through this process of being forged into this instrument, right, this tool of gathering, we're supposed to maintain the mentality. Our disposition is supposed to be that of fear and appreciation. Fear for what? Well, let's deal with appreciation first. Appreciation for having been chosen out of an innumerable multitude of your people. Remember, we are as the sands of the sea that cannot be measured. We are as the stars of the heaven that cannot be numbered. And in that great multitude, that great innumerable multitude, you were chosen. That's where the appreciation comes from. Knowing that we all were chosen, not deserving it. We're unworthy, but yet he chose us. So that's where the appreciation, the fear comes in what? From the fact that you could blow it. That you could forfeit this opportunity due to your own foolishness, due to your own weakness, due to your own pride, due to your own lust, due to your own envy, due to your own hatred. All of the above and more could cost you that. I'm going to get to that. That's Philippians 2 and 12. I want you to get that. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 12.
Philippians chapter 2.
Go ahead.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
With fear and trembling. Now, and that means that this mode, this disposition that you're in, is not supposed to be determined by whether you're standing before your teachers or not, whether your quote elders are watching you, standing over your shoulder, making sure you get your job done. You're supposed to be so much more fervent in their absence than in their presence. And it says with fear and what, Yetzirah?
With fear and trembling.
Trembling is what happens when a person really is terrified. They're terrified and they be shaking. Somebody sitting up in court getting sentenced. He ain't trying to figure out if he's gonna get found innocent or guilty. And if it's guilty, a life in prison, and they be sitting there shaking. You be hearing them damn papers rattle. Because if you know what's coming, you do not want to be left out of the Most High's grace. That's the disposition. I'm too afraid to be worried about what the loss I'm going to suffer. And then when I understand the loss, it's not a loss, y'all. It's a price. That's what that brother brought up that scripture. Proverbs 23 and 23. Buy the truth. What are you willing to give up? And it tells you that all throughout Matthew chapter 12. For the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man that bought a field, or that found a great pearl in the field. And he went back and sold all that he had to buy that field that pearl came from. Okay, I'm a Yetzirah. Here's the next question, right? So we're in this work, we're spending time, we're being worked on, we're having our fallibilities, right, exploited and they're surfacing, and we're being made more mature. At the same time, we're having all of our strengths, right? We're having all of our positive qualities polished, brought to the forefront, and strengthened and reinforced. What becomes our lifelong, right? The ultimate lifelong objective. What is our ultimate lifelong objective? It's going to tell you to teach others. Let's go there. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2. And it's not talking about teaching others only in doctrine. The greatest teacher is going to be the brother that can walk you through it and show you and demonstrate. And that's why the scriptures call for us to be in signs, in samples, right? Not an example, meaning a sample, like you go into a store and, oh, would you like to try a sample of our German chocolate cake? Yes, I would, right? Oh, damn, that was good. Well, this is where all of our cake selections are. That was just a sample of what exists. So we are samples of what Christ is to be. We are samples, I should say, of what it is to be like Christ. But we are samples from within our body, from within our congregation. This is why it's called ensamples. That's in the book. Then you have examples, a sample of what it is to be like Christ from without or on the outside of your congregation. But another what? Another Israelite congregation. Those would be examples to you, while you would be ensamples to yourself. Well, what is it that we're supposed to do? You go there, I'm going to get to 2 Timothy chapter 2 and start off in verse 1.
Second Timothy chapter 2, verse 1. Thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Yahweh. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also.
So listen to this. It says, be thou strong. Verse 1, what was verse 1 again?
Thou therefore, my son, be thou strong in the grace that is in Yahweh.
Right. Strength, y'all. Strength, man. You know what strength is measured by? Strength is measured by being what? By being under duress. Like if you went into the weight room, into the a gym, and you looked and you saw one guy struggling with a 45-pound bar. And he looked pretty muscular, pretty big dude. But he can't get that 45-pound bar off of his chest. Then you look over and you'll see a dude that's about 75 pounds lighter than him. And he's not only got the 45-pound bar, but he has 3 45-pound plates on each side, bringing his total to 315 pounds, right? 315 pounds he got on that bar. And this dude is 200 pounds. The big dude, 350 pounds, he's struggling with the bar. Who would you say is stronger? You would definitely say that dude that's doing reps with that 315 pounds. Well, why would you say that? Because you're measuring both of them in the activity that they're both involved in by how much weight, how much duress this person can manage, as opposed to how much weight this other person, how much duress, physical duress, this other person cannot handle. So when it says be strong, therefore my son, be strong in the grace, is telling you that you have to subject yourself to the spiritual, physical, mental duress that the Most High puts you under. That duress is called affliction. And it manifests itself in the form of things that you have to let go, that you would have preferred to not have to let go. It manifests itself, this great duress, this affliction. It manifests itself in the loss that you suffer, that you would have preferred to be able to keep. You understand? The time that you must sacrifice with your family, with your children, or just yourself, that you would prefer to be able to take that time and work something out. You got a hobby that you've been dealing with, and you come into the truth now, and you got no time for that. That's the price that you pay. That's how you be strong in the truth. All forms of mental, spiritual, and physical duress, the company that you guys have, the moving company, and the routes that you do, and the long hours in the mall, that's the Most High putting you under physical, mental, and spiritual duress. That's what he says be strong to. Because that's how the Most High builds men. That's how he built our father Jacob. That's how he built Moses. People think Moses just had it easy. Moses had to go out and conquer countries. He could easily got killed in battle.
Wow.
See, they weren't like generals today where they sit back under a bunker and order everybody, from the communication center, from the control, the command center. All generals got in that damn chariot and was out in front with their regalia on so that the enemy could know who they was. That's how Moses rolled. So the Most High have always had out. Look at the duress that Abraham was under. People think it was just one dude with a couple of sheep marching down, through desert sands. The dude was filthy rich, if I can use that term in the same sentence as the name Abraham. He was mad rich. And so all the time that it took to make sure all of his cattle, all of his servants, his men servants, all of the children's servants, all the women's servants. And he's going from the land of Ur to Haran up in Syria, coming down from Syria to the land of Canaan, going from the land of Canaan down into Egypt, coming back up to the land of Canaan. That's a headache. Half of us won't walk to the mall, and you know that. You run around here walking with 1,000 cattle of sheep, 1,000 cattle of goats, cows, camels, plus all your wealth, your riches in precious metals and stones. But it says be strong, because that's what you're going to have. That's how the Most High, he doesn't deal with weakness. And the scriptures tell you that. It tells you, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. And what determines whether or not you're strong is your spirit. And that's why it says, the spirit of a man shall sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? And this work is designed to build your spirit. And if you're not in a platform or in a dynamic where you're being worked to death, where you're being worked and taken beyond your intellectual and spiritual wits end, you're not being forged, you're not being strengthened. Just like you can't go into the gym and stand over a weight bench and do this shit. Then you go to the next machine, like you working out by osmosis. You can't get fast going to the track, walking around it. You got to sprint. You got to sprint. Then you got to what? You got to go back and get that therapy so that the muscles can relax, muscles get tied up. And you got to go back and you got to sprint some more until sprinting at top speed becomes like walking for you. That's how you get faster. So how do you get wiser? By having all of your foolishnesses exploited until you get it right. That's how do you become patient? By just having to continually wait. That's how you become patient. And the only way you can wait and not become patient is if you're waiting and in the wrong mentality. If you're waiting, but you're in a sour disposition, because there's things that the Most High give you during that wait. There's qualities that he give you aside from patience that you gain while waiting. And if you're in the wrong disposition, you don't get it. Why? Because you're fighting the process that's designed to yield something to you. Be strong in the grace. That's another thing, grace. You don't deserve it. The opportunity that we all get, we don't deserve it. That's why it's called grace. It's a gift. So you got to earn it somehow. Go ahead, Amiyetazah. Verse 2.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 2. And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also.
See that? All the things, see, this is all of you can say this, right? And the things that thou hast heard of me, you all are listening to me right now. It says, among many witnesses, you all are witnesses to the fact that each one of you were listening to what I'm saying. That's what Paul is talking to. He's talking to Timothy, and Timothy learned in the presence of other brothers. Timothy just it tells you in chapter 16 of the book of Acts when he and Paul encountered one another, and Paul took him on the journey, but Paul was already with Barnabas. For a period, Paul rode with Barnabas. He rode with Mark, John, he rode with Silas. And so he had Timothy learning all of that in the presence of them and others. Titus, all these books that's named after these men, these are the people that Paul, the Most High, had him bring up and teach and leave in places so that they could be stewards over the places until he got back. So Philemon, Titus learned with him. Timothy learned with him. Go ahead, Amiyatazai. It says, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. So it ain't just talking about, I'm here to commit this information to you. I ain't here to just commit this information only. I'm here to show you how to walk in it. I'm here to show you how it brings forth fruit. Yes, Amiyatazai.
Where do you call that? A life, the teaching is a lifelong what?
It's what I was saying was that now that you got this, the teaching, the ultimate lifelong objective. You got the teaching. You're being crafted. Your lifelong objective, meaning what is it? What is our purpose? What is the goal? I say objective, but what is our goal for as long as we're in here? Is this what we're reading now? It's to continue to teach other men, yeah? And it's not talking about just the information. Look how many men got the information and came and gone. It's talking about you got to lay down the lesson through your example that what? That teaches men how to stay. That teaches men how to endure. That teaches men how to suffer. That teaches men how to suffer loss. Amiyatazar, how did you learn how to suffer the loss of your women and children?
By them leaving.
Exactly.
By losing them.
By losing them. And were there any examples of other men that had did that so that you could know what to do?
Yeah, yourself.
And what if I had ran after any of them women? What would you have been? What lesson would I have left with you?
To do the same thing.
And that's what he would have did. And the same thing happened to me while I was in Texas. And the same thing happened to me while I was in California and out here. That's what it means when it says the same commit thou. You ain't just teaching them the information. You're teaching them how to use it by doing it and by doing it perfectly. That's how you teach other men. Then they'll be more apt to do it. Like children. Most children with fathers and parents that smoke and drink, and their parents say, hey, come on over here and take a hit. They ain't said that. They say, hey, these things will kill you. You see it in the movies all the time. But them same children grew up smoking and drinking. Why? Because they followed what their parents did and not what their parents said. And that's how we all are. That's how we all are. So when it says, commit thou to other men who shall be able to teach others, how do I commit this to you? By walking it. By accompanying you, or you accompanying me in this journey and seeing how I handled every circumstance. That's how I do it. When I get a blessing, what happens with it? It gets spread to everybody. Simple and plain. If I take the hit, I'll take the hit. You get to see me take the hit this time. This is one of the reasons certain brothers left California. When I first came into the truth, I was the one who the Most High put the fire on to leave and go to where I'm only telling brothers and teaching brothers and exhorting brothers to do what the Spirit had me do that I did. I quit my job. I left my career. I wasn't working at Walmart. I was a correction officer with benefits and all that stuff that people be talking about. Nigga finally could get his teeth worked on. You know what I mean? Dental and all of that stuff, right? Finally got some money coming in. The first thing I had planned was I'm gonna stretch my bike out. I had a Honda CB750 and I was gonna stretch that bastard. Then all of a sudden I had one more payment to go on my Fender Jazz bass, pearl white with the 18 karat gold handles and machine heads. Shit was bad, brother. And I had to sell that motorcycle and leave that bass and get to New York. And had I not done that, the brothers that I taught, one came in with me, but another brother I taught, they would have stayed back, but they followed, they came to California. They came from California to New York with me. I taught a brother, he was another CO. That was Nagai. I don't know, you think you guys know Nagai?
Huh.
That's how I met Nagai. Nagai was out there. We worked at the facility, but the facility was so big. He worked a different shift. He had a different.
Know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. And what happened was they was making a movie at our facility, and he was out by they had this the big old gates where machines and tractors come in. He was guarding that gate so none of the prisoners would escape, and they had a big ass, like a 30-foot buffet table because it was a movie shoot and all the actors and the production crew were coming to eat. So I'm like, damn, brother. I was like, I walked into work. I came into the gate because it was open. I said, damn, you put all this for me, brother? I had never met him. He started laughing. He said, man, have at it, but that's all I've been doing. Got me sitting by these gates. He says, any of these prisoners storm these gates, I'm letting them go. This is how we was chopping it up. And he started complaining about Esau, man. And I said, okay. I had to get to work. And so I went on and let him do his thing. Not before give me a whole bunch of baskets of donuts and stuff, right? To go into my unit with me. And about 3 or 4 months later, the brother, he filled in the shift for another person that worked the shift with myself. Well, no, yeah. If something happened, I think I filled in the shift. Yeah, I filled in the shift because he worked from 10 at night to 6 in the morning. That was his shift. And we started talking, and I started taking him through the scriptures, man. And I did like a whole hour and a half in Deuteronomy. He was just sitting there like, yeah, I didn't heard all this before. And when I read verse 28, verse 68, whoa, he just did like this, whoa. And I had to go through the whole hour and a half again. Now it meant something to him. And he's been in ever since. So we started hanging out. He lived in the valley at the time, California, San Fernando Valley. And he lived by this brewery. I used to hate the smell of the whole region, man, because it smelled like, to me, I don't like beer. It smelled like vomit. But Nagai was a rugged ass dude, brother, from the beginning. He was all listening to Public Enemy, and his furniture was old English 800 crates. He used to buy that shit by the crates, y'all. And that's all we sat on. His tables was old English 800 crates. His chairs was old English 800 crates, man. He was a rugged ass, rough dude, brother. But that's how I met him. And I taught him, and then I introduced him to Ariella. And then we all started. When I got the spirit to go on up, Zion came with me. Nagai stayed back until the spirit hit him, and then he resigned and came on up there. You know? So I'm saying this. Why do I say that? What else would I teach Amiyatazar? Amiyatazar heard a little bit from a brother in London, damn near swam the Atlantic to Guatemala, y'all. You know? Came in over on a Nigerian refugee bathtub, brother. And he was in the bathtub with the oars doing it. Oh, rough waters. A wave will come, he ducked, he got his little bitty yellow bucket, he emptied the damn water out the tub and get back to rolling. And I say that to say, to be honest with you, he left a lot out. He's playing semi-professional soccer, man. So when you hear Amiyatazar and myself talk about or teach about leaving, because we have reaped the benefits of having given up all for the most time. And we've been chastised when we did wrong. Most High jacked us up when we went off. But the scriptures say the Lord chastened those that he loved. Therefore endure the chastening of the Lord. Despise not the chastening of the Lord. For those who the Lord chastened, those who the Lord loveth, he chastened. So that's what the whole process is about, man. So our lifelong objective, our lifelong goal is to be teachers through conduct, not just doctrine. is to be teachers through what? Experience. And then we're supposed to push men to do the same. We're supposed to be like, well, brother, you know, if the spirit hits you, no, nigga, I'm the spirit. It's working through me. Go. That's how I'm rolling. Why? Because anything less, I'm not teaching. I'm what? I'm withholding my experience from that brother. Yes, I'm a Yathia.
And that's what we're reading in Philippians. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. That fear and trembling is that sense of urgency.
Thank you. That's the word that I used to use back then because it's still on me. Urgency. It's why, but the Most High showed me I had visions of destruction. I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm not lying. Not that I was escaping the place. I was escaping the paradigm. Get immersed among the brothers. Get immersed where the body of the Most High is at. And let me say this. I can't tell you how thankful I am that when I got to New York, in my estimation, the brother that the Most High put me under was the most demanding and the hardest on it. But he was also fair as hell. But he didn't play no mediocrity. Ariana did not play no half-ass camp. Then you go and be in another camp. And brothers would take him to the elders and complain, all right, he can't be in the camp. He ain't gonna come in here and change our dynamic. He don't come in and water us down. And that's what I came up in. And then my job was to do what? My job was to take it and be more intense. My job was to take it and have a higher standard of a work ethic, because the work is supposed to be better. The scriptures say you're supposed to be constantly increasing in the knowledge of the Most High, not maintaining. You ain't supposed to be maintaining. We're supposed to be constantly. It tells you what? We're supposed to be constantly be ye steadfast, unmovable, always what? Always maintaining? Always abounding in the work of the Lord. So that's what we're supposed to inspire. That's what we're supposed to incite. I'm a Yetazar. Read on down. Verse 3.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh.
That means take it. Endure means to absorb it, to take it. Now, listen to that. It said endure hardness as a good soldier. This is why I've been relinquishing that whole title of general and priest, because in the minds, it depends. See, they ain't like that for everybody, but in my mind, then that's not for me, man. I'm a soldier. What is a soldier? What is a general really? A general is a soldier with more experience, but a soldier nevertheless. A general is a soldier with more time and tenure, but a soldier nevertheless. So that's what I'm gonna lock into. And I'm a yes, I'll tell you, I'm a grunge. I'm down there with the men. I keep that. I ask the Most High, in exchange for whatever that you take from me, keep me like this. Keep me with this stamina. I need the mental, the spiritual, and the physical stamina, because I don't want to back down. I can't see me one day sitting up, well, now, brothers, go on here now. They're going to be like, Carl Compton lost his damn fire. I would be like that. So we're supposed to, how do the men learn how to endure hardness? By me enduring hardness. By me not backing away, by me leading them through the hardness. When I say me, I'm speaking of anyone that's in the position of being a steward. And the only way I could do that is if I abide in Christ. We're going to talk about that. There's a spirit, there's a conduct, there's a mentality and a dynamic that you got to subject yourself to. And that dynamic, Christ described himself as an austere man. And he described himself as an austere man in the paradigm of what? Of expecting fruit from talents that he's given us. So that means we're supposed to lock into what he told us he's like in the expectation of us flipping talents given to us from him. There's a hardness that you got to operate up. There's a level of abstaining that you have to, or you're not going to go beyond your level. The Most High ain't playing that. You're going to get to have your cake, to have the prize and the fruits of the spirit, and then partake in the flesh also. This thing come at a price. That's what it meant, Mawala, when it says, buy the truth and sell it not. You got to give up something. You got to pay. We all know that you got to pay dues. You got to pay dues. Then you get what? You get to be the instrument through whom the Spirit of the Lord worked through. You get to be the conduit that the Most High endowed with a little bit more of his virtue than the next man who didn't do it. That's what you get to be. And then you better have the frame of mind and the presence of mind to give him the glory each and every time. You can't be talking about you, my camp, these men, I raised them. You ain't did shit. You was from the ghetto. That's why I said when you start seeing these guys talk about themselves and all the work they did and how this is my brother Most High, he said, Christ, this is Christ speaking. Every man that exalted himself shall be abased. Does it not say that?
Yeah.
So I ain't attacking nobody. I'm trying to help brothers get their act together. But for the young men, when you see that man, give him a while, pray like he'll let he change. And if he don't, and if he's going deeper into that self-glorification, if he's going deeper into that exaltation, brother, you run the other way and you run so at top speed. You go to where the true food is. Yatazar, read that verse. Verse 4.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 4. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier.
Check that out. No, and we're all at war. It tells you that in 2 Corinthians chapter 10. For though we war in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Though we be in the flesh, we don't war after the flesh. So we're in a spiritual war, and no man that's in a spiritual war or war otherwise entangleth himself with the affairs of this life. Brothers out here making the conscious effort trying to find a woman or trying to hold on to the wrong one. You gotta let that bitch go. I'm gonna say it just like that. Them are the only ones that you gotta let go is the bitches. Running around here making your life and the life of your children and everybody else around you a living hell. You running around here with all of these religious, this is what brothers be going through. We be in turmoil. Why? Because we just don't take the scripture and feed off of it. We be having the scriptural feed like a damn straw, but we be having a big gulp with a big ass ice cream scooper of all the other shit that we won't let go of. You got to let go of everything else and feed on the strength only. The Most High is trying to save you. He's trying to build you. He's trying to rebuild you. He's trying to use you. And you're letting what? Those affairs of this life entangle you and keep you from coming to maturity and fruition and bringing forth fruit. In other words, you're killing yourself. In other words, you're strangling yourself. You're pinching the umbilical cord between you and the Spirit of the Most High through distraction, through drama, through depression, all the things that those issues bring us. I wouldn't run around here with nothing when I left. I had a decent job, had a 5-year-old daughter depending on me, and a couple of annoyances. You know, I said, talk about my women back then. And it was funny because the minute I started getting taught, Ariana thought I didn't have no women. Man, but I did. They didn't exist anymore. That's the reality of it. I ain't call them. I was busy. I was studying every day. I wouldn't call in nobody. Once I said, nope, all things are on hold. I stopped working out. Every damn thing. All class, all study. And I was working 5 days a week and studying with Ariana 1 day. I had 2 days off. He was keeping me back to get to know him. Then when I got my raise and my promotion, I ended up with 2 days. I worked for 2 days and I had 5 days off. And by then, we was rolling every day. I was taking Ariana to work with me. I'm coming to show you this prison, man. I was taking him everywhere. I was taking him all around Los Angeles, up into the mountains, every place that we possibly could so that he could, my job was to try to put him in as many circumstances where he could teach and also have to defend the gospel. And I saw this dude I was like, damn, all this, I was like, shit, this ain't real. It can't be real. None of it, but he didn't know what he was going to encounter. And that's when I said, nope. And I told him, I said, man, the Spirit told me I got to go and drink from the fountain that you drank from. I left him in California. That's how it hit me. I said, cool, I love you. I'll see you when you get there. But that old, somebody came back and made a song. I'll see. I'm the first nigga that said that. I didn't say it, but I definitely said it. I said it to Ariella. I'll see you when you get there. See you when you get there. And I remember telling him, I said, man, who knows? The Most High probably have plans for you to go out and gather other fruit like you did for us out here, because that's what I really thought. The Most High gonna send him on. He's out here gathering fruit. I went on up to New York. That's how I'm a Yakuza did. So the hardness, you endure it, and then you isolate. You immerse yourself in this work, but you immerse yourself in the work of where the work is being done, where Christ is being taught, where men are being brought up to learn how to be servants, to learn how to be selfless, right? We ain't no captains and bishops, and yeah, okay, we could say that, but what are we really? Just like Christ told James and John, when they desired to sit on his right and his left hand, when he got to his kingdom, Christ said, listen, first he got them in order. Can you be baptized with the same baptism wherewith I'm baptized? They thought that they could. He said, you're going to. He said, but to give either of you to sit on my right hand and my left hand is not mine to give. So for all I know, I'm raising up or teaching and investing in my superiors. I don't know that, but I got to have that mentality, because Christ said the first and the last. The first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. Well, I'm supposed to just automatically assume, not me. Then he gave us a parable that showed about the people coming in the different hours of the workday, where there were some that had worked the entire day, from the morning up until the time that they were to get paid. But it turns out that those that came and were called and only worked the final hour received the same payment as those who endured the heat of the day. And what did Christ tell a guy that was upset? Christ said, what, are you mad at me because I'm generous? Is this not my money to do with what I want to do with it? I'm supposed to inspire you to what? To do this. Because your payment, your price, your crown may be greater than mine. But look at what I will have what? Look at the service that I will have rendered. See, that right there is going to give me recognition, because Christ said that also. What did he say? He said, whoever be the greatest of you, let him be a servant. So that's the mode I'm in, y'all. Don't be calling me no captain. Don't be calling me no general. Don't be calling me no priest. Call me Kawaka. Don't call me an MF either. Call me Kawaka. You know, I'm more of an MF than I am a priest. Y'all know that. Like I said, my selection of words. So the point is, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to what? And then once the Most High have developed you, once the Most High have crafted and poured his spirit and brought out those virtues in you, those qualities, then he's going to send you other things, other dimensions to your life to add to your building. That's when the woman comes, because the Most High wants you to become a man. He wants you to understand that level of responsibility and how to have to juggle between the two of them, how to take that and put a house in order. That's what he wants, but he wants it all in order. You ain't got to go looking for no woman. She's out there looking for you. She's somewhere crying, tired of being abused, tired of being dogged, hate men because of decisions that she made that led her to all the wrong men, but won't say that. All of that is encapsulated in niggas ain't shit. But niggas ain't shit because why? Because of what she was taught and how to choose them. That's what the Most High is going to send to you. And you're going to have to take this word and be her medicine. And she's going to be your woman. That's how it happens, You gotta go out no damn club calling under the guise of the brotherhood. You're supposed to stay buried. I'm still looking for them scriptures. about where we supposed to go out and look for bitches. I ain't found it yet, and I'll be using my concordance. It ain't in there. It ain't in there, is it?
No.
Yes, brother.
You talking about in Ecclesiastes?
No, it ain't in there. What I just said ain't in there. We mean, now you show it to me. Shit, I'm curious.
No, I'm saying like, are you saying like when it talks about not going in the streets or the corners to
No, I wasn't talking about that. But I'm just listen in solitary areas, right?
Yeah, God.
No, I know exactly. No, I'm talking about. Listen, that could be perceived. I understand where you're coming from because that could be perceived as the whole scroll, right? But the point is, I'm talking about any dynamic where we have in the world that we used to use to cater to our flesh. That dynamic is null and void in the truth, man. You know, and brother, yeah, we're gonna do some brotherhood. Nigga, do some brotherhood at the school. That's the reality of it. What topics are you shaky on? Right? What chapter haven't you had broke down to you? What element or aspect of your responsibility is still not clear to you? That's what the brotherhood is for. Right? The brotherhood is for making the brotherhood stronger, not for creating isolated moments and gaps in our experience where we feed the flesh a little bit. It ain't for that. And then we chalk it up like a bunch of Christians. Well, Christ went to the sinners. Yeah, he wasn't a trick. He wasn't a John. He was healing them. All right, I'm a Yetazah. Verse 4 one more time, and then the final verse 5.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 4. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. And if a man also strive for masteries, yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully.
So this is what we're going to go into now. A man strives for masteries. That means what? To become the master of his office, to become the master of his vocation. Well, how do you become the master of your vocation? You have to strive, or you have to undergo the process lawfully. That means you have to undergo the curriculum. The curriculum, how the instructor set it up for one to what? To be exercised or to be developed to the mastery level. So now we're going to read about that. So let's do this. It said in verse 2, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. So all that's saying is that we're supposed to bring in fruit. And that those fruit are supposed to what? Stay. Why? Because that's how they're going to teach other men also. So let's go to that one. Let's go to John chapter 15 and start off at verse 1. John, the Gospel of John, chapter 15. We're going to read verses 1 through 7. This is talking about productivity.
John chapter 15, verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman.
Stop right there. So we are all, according to Isaiah chapter 5, right? Israel, in other chapters, other verses, is the Most High's vineyard. But that vineyard has a source of nutrient. It has a source of alimentation. That source of alimentation from us, the vineyard, to the Most High. What is the source that connects us? Yahweh Shai. That's what it means when he says he is the true vine. That means he is the conduit. He is the mediator. He is the connection, but he is the umbilical cord between us babies here on earth and the source of food in the heavens. Christ is that vine. Continue on, Yetazah.
Verse 2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit.
So now he's telling you right now, every branch that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And let me say this, listen, don't get caught up in all of the fluff and all the drama of man's dynamic. If the person is here and then they left, that was because they wasn't being fruitful. And the reason why they wasn't being fruitful, according to the scriptures, is because they're anti-Christ. Matter of fact, I gotta show you that. Let's go on and put some light on that. Why? Because these be the sources that be out there still contending with the work. If you ain't here, let us be. Why you still got your nose in this? But it tells you, if a person get taken away, it's because they weren't bearing. That's why I love reading these scriptures on the Yetazah. You ain't bearing fruit, Christ ain't gonna take you away. Now I'm gonna show you something real quick. Go to 1 John. Let me put my marker here. In the back by Revelations, 1 John. And you're gonna go to chapter 2 and read verse 18 and 19 on the Yetazah. 1 John in the back, the little general epistle, chapter 2 and verse 18 and 9. Now, why I'm bringing this out to shed a little bit more light on what? On St. John chapter 15, was the very same author. St. John chapter 15 and verse 2, where it said, every branch in me that beareth not forth fruit, he taketh away. So let's go and get some detail on those that were among us, but got taken away. Continue. Read it on the Yetazah, 1 John chapter 2 and verse 18 and 19.
1 John chapter 2, verse 18. Little children, it is the last time, and as you have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time.
Go ahead.
They went out from us, but they were not of us.
Go ahead.
If they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us.
See that? Hold on. Now, who are these? He's calling them antichrist, y'all. Why? Because Christ said all of that you bring forth fruit and that your fruit remain. If Christ rejects you, it's because number one, you're not bringing forth fruit. And if that happens, it's because you're anti-Christ. You're against what he's trying to do. You got another way of doing it. And that's what kept San Antonio, Texas so damn stagnant. And not stagnant only, but lost. Because what was sown was Christ. And how do you know? Because the fruit was brought forth. Because the works yielded fruit. And then things began to be stagnant and we began to suffer loss because the fruit, because it wasn't being done the way Christ said do it. That's the only time we don't bear fruit. Listen, we're gonna go back to chapter 15. I'm just trying to identify the spirit of those removed. Remember, Christ said, I'm going to cut, I will remove them. Those that what? Bring not forth fruit, he removed it. I am the true vine, my father's the husbandman. Christ said, every branch in me that beareth fruit, he taketh away. Who is the he that Christ is referring to? He's referring to the husbandman. He's referring to the Father. The Father took them away because they were not operating in the spirit, the actions, the wisdom, the counsel of Yahweh Shai. It was anti-Christ. This is the type of clarity brothers they want to run from on the Yetazah. Read on down. Read verse 19 again.
First John chapter 2, verse 19. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us.
See that? The Most High got rid of them to show you. That's why he said to make manifest. To show you and all involved that they were not of us. And in being so, it applies to verse 18. They were anti-Christ. Meaning what? Doing things opposite or contrary to what Christ taught us. And that is the truth. You know, you guys are there, not me. You guys were there. You know what wasn't being done. You know what was being deviated from. You know what brought stagnation and complete loss. Because they did not abide in Christ. We're going to go back there now. We're going back to John. John 15 and verse 2 once more. I'm yet to stop.
John chapter 15 and verse 2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit.
See, we're not here because we're perfect, God. We're here because we abide in Christ, and in Christ we brought forth fruit. And so the Most High kept us to purge us. That means what? That means to continue removing, to continue extracting the impurities that's still in us. It don't mean that we're perfect. It means that we can be worked with still. It means that in our effort to abide in Christ, we bring forth, the Most High brings forth fruit through us, through Christ. And then because he's pleased with that, the next level, in other words, whenever we start suffering loss, that be because the Most High is getting ready to bring forth more fruit. But the next level of growth, in other words, with the level of impurities that we have, with all of our fallibilities, right? The negative and the non-pleasant attributes, the work that we have done can no longer go beyond. In other words, this is the greatest level that we can get to with the existing fallibilities. In order for a new wave of fruit to come in, the existing fallibilities among us must be purged out, must be brought under greater control. And that's why the Most High removed those, kept the ones that he wants, and now what? The process of having to rebuild is what's purging us. It's what's making us do things better. It's what's making us exercise more time attending the flock. It's what's exercising us into a greater role of a servant as opposed to a general. Because all of those fallibilities, the fruit brought with those have gotten to the point where now it's intolerable. That means for more fruit to come, there has to be a greater cleansing process. Now read on down on the Yetazah, verse 3. Listen, I'm going to read the last part of verse 2. And every branch that beareth fruit, I'm going to read it again. Verse 2, every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And now we know because they're antichrist. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. And that's the process. That is the dynamic that you brothers are involved in now. And so you still have to yield to the purging process yourselves. I'm going to continue. Verse 3. If he's not there, Dawiyat, you pick it up. Go ahead until you get back.
1 John 2 and 3, right?
1 John chapter 15 and verse 3.
That's right. Someone St. John. I was in 1 John. All right. St. John chapter 15 and verse 3. It says, now we are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you.
Now listen to this. Go ahead.
Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except ye abide in me.
So this is called, y'all, because this is going, now we're going to examine. That's the question. It says, abide in me. Christ said, in other words, if you want to bring forth fruit, verse 4, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. So let's go and find out. We got to describe. We know what purging is. A purge means literally to rid, right? Or eliminate whatever is impure or undesirable. To rid or to eliminate whatever is impure or undesirable. That's what a purge, that's the purging process. Now, Christ said, you got to abide in me. So how do we know when we are abiding in Christ? We're going to actually go to go to chapter 19, Luke chapter 19. We're going to read Luke chapter 19, verses 12 through 26. And this is going to describe Christ in his demand, right, for us to bring fruit. I'm going to show you. Let me put my marker here. We're going to Luke chapter 19. Luke chapter 19 and start off at verse 12. Go ahead.
Verse 12. He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return.
This nobleman, this is a parable that Christ is referring to himself as the nobleman, meaning what? The far country that he went to, he's in the spiritual world, expecting to be sent back by the Heavenly Father. Go ahead.
He called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come.
Now, let me say this. The 10 servants represent all of us to whom the gospel has been committed. It represents the talents is talking about the information and the qualities in our development that we have acquired in our servitude. When he says occupy till I come, that means I want y'all to take this knowledge. I want you to take these talents that I gave you, these abilities, these qualities, this experience, this time, this tenure, and I want you to flip it. It's basically the same thing as John. I want you to bring forth fruit. Go ahead, read on down. Verse 14.
Verse 14. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him, saying, we will not have this.
Hold on, I hear it. You back?
Yeah.
Okay, we're in Luke chapter 19, and I want you to read verse 14.
All right. Luke chapter 19 and verse 14. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us.
Now, who does that represent? This represents the ones that wouldn't do it the way Christ wanted it done. How do you know when Christ rules over us? When we are obedient, when we follow the lessons, when we walk in the lessons, when we perform the servitude that in the fashion that the Most High have blessed us and shown us that which he blesses. But when we find out that there are those that hate Christ, what did Christ say? If you love me, keep my commandments. So clearly, and the Most High tell you that. He said he will render judgment to the third and fourth generation of them that hate him. What is he talking about? He's referring to those that disobey him. To love the Most High in Christ is to obey them. To hate the Most High in Christ is to disobey them. So that's what this is talking about. Go ahead, Yetazah. We will not have this man reign over us. That means we're not going to be governed by him. How do you know in our day and age when a person is refusing to be governed by Christ? When they refuse to do it the way Christ said do it. Continue.
In Luke chapter 19 and verse 15. And it came to pass, when he was returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money.
Now, this hasn't happened yet. One of these days, the money, like I told you, is the knowledge, y'all. It's the information. And along with it, we have been developed. We have qualities that have been given to us, right? And abilities due to the process that we've undergone in our development. So that money, and like I said, those qualities, that experience, that time and tenure, and the insight that comes with it, the Most High expect for us to bring forth fruit. So he's going to come back, he's going to send Christ, and we're going to all have to reckon for how we managed Christ's riches, how we managed Christ's wealth. Continue on, Yetazah.
Verse 15 of Luke chapter 19. And it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants to be called unto him, to whom he had given the money, that he, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading.
Go ahead.
Verse 16. Then came the first.
The trading, y'all, is the teaching. The trading is the time invested. The trading is what? The person giving themselves to you and then you giving them Christ. That's the trading. It's all the time. It's all the countless hours of what? Of counseling. It's all the neglecting of your own family and your own affairs. It's all the loss suffered tending to the flock. All of that and more is what's referred to here as trading. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound have gained 10 pounds.
Look, I took the 1 pound you gave me and I got 9 extra ones. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And he said unto him, Well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in a very little, have thou authority over 10 cities.
Now he's telling us what we do with this flock, y'all, is going to determine the authority that we have in the kingdom. That's what this is about. Some niggas is going to be over villages. And other brothers is going to be over continents. While the 12 apostles, David and them greats, they're going to be sitting looking at and over it all under Christ. Who's going to be under the Most High? He's telling you. Some niggas going to be like a beat cop, walking around here with a little stick. You know, that's the level of authority some niggas going to be on me yet like a Keystone Copper. Go ahead, read on down.
Verse 18. And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound have gained 5 pounds. And he said likewise to him, Be thou also over 5 cities.
Mm-hmm.
And another came, saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I feared thee, because thou art an austere man.
Now stop right there. I want you to finish the verse all the way down to verse. Let me say this, y'all. I want you to focus on austere, because in John chapter 15, Christ said, Abide in me and I in you. So we got to know what are the qualities of Yahweh Shah. Because we already know love and forgiveness and all of that. But we don't understand his demanding nature. So he's telling us right now, his servant is saying, you are an austere man. Here's your coin. I kept it laid and wrapped up nice and neat in a napkin. And I was afraid because I know that you are austere. Once we finish these verses, we're going to do an in-depth examination of what it is to be austere. Because that's the spirit that we're supposed to be operating in. And listen, in the execution of the trading of the coins, in the execution of the what? Of the flipping of the talents, of the multiplying of the talents. The quality that Christ demands us is out of austerity. It's what he's saying. So we got to examine that, because he's telling us that's the spirit. When what? When coupled with all of the other qualities that we read in the scriptures, the forgiveness, the meekness, the long suffering, all of that, you still got to be austere. And that's talking about a mentality, and it's talking about a conduct. It's talking about an allotment to yourself, the type of life that you're going to lead. That's what's talking about austere. We're going to read it. Read on down. I'm going to read that verse 21 again.
Luke chapter 19 and verse 20.
Verse 21.
Verse 21. For I feared thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest that thou didst not sow.
Yeah, that means you expect to gain from what you physically didn't do yourself. I was afraid you gave me this money. You expected for me to do this so that you wouldn't have to do it. That's what he's saying. Go ahead. He's recognizing that he understands the nature of this man that committed money to him. But yet he understood and still didn't do it. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And he saith unto him, Out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow.
See, Christ didn't come back and say, who told you I was austere? I'm offended that you would characterize me as such. No, he said, thou wicked servant, by your own mouth I'm going to judge you. You knew that I'm an austere man. He says what? He's confirming, you damn right I'm an austere man. You damn right I expected for you to be able to flip this coin, for you to be able to what? For me to come back and reap off of what you had sown so that I wouldn't have to come and do it. Read on down, I'm yet to out.
Verse 23. Wherefore then gavest not thou my money into the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury?
How come you didn't do the necessary thing to what? To bring forth fruit. Why didn't you make the necessary adjustments and perform the necessary dynamic so that I could receive more than when I left you? Go ahead.
Verse 24. And he said unto them that stood by, take from him the pound, and give it to him that have 10 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And they said unto him, Lord, he have 10 pounds.
Yeah, Lord, he already got 10 pounds. But watch this. Go ahead.
For I say unto you, that unto everyone which have shall be given, and from him that have not, even that he have shall be taken away from him.
Hey, listen now, and don't be surprised if one day the Most High start filling that school with men from other places, people that have been listening to other guys on YouTube and Zoom and all of that, but they're not getting the talk. Because that's what this is telling us. The ones that do the work, the Most High is going to send to you the fruit from the ones that's not doing it. So I'm telling the brothers that's out there listening, go to where the food is. If you ain't being fed, go to where the food is. That we just justified that right there. We are all Christ's. None of you guys are mine. If I wasn't doing my job, I would expect for you to follow the food. I would expect for you to go where the teaching is. Now, let me read on down. Listen, let's go back. In this dictionary, this is the Webster's Encyclopedic Unabridged Dictionary of the English Language. I want to read a little bit of what it is to be austere. So, listen to this. There are a bunch of definitions. I think we're only going to deal with about 5 or 6 of them. It says, severe in manner or appearance. Austere. When it says severe in manner or appearance, this be an issue that brothers will have because of your serious nature. That's what it means when it says severe in manner or appearance. And they'll be throwing meekness at you, not understanding meekness is not talking about soft. Meekness have nothing to do with about your hard or soft presentation. Meekness is a quality that is demonstrated in what? In you being injured, being offended by someone and not harboring resentment at the person. And Moses was the epitome of meekness. The scriptures tell you he was the meekest man on the face of earth. But it doesn't tell you. And so because he was meek, you have to go read from Exodus unto Deuteronomy all the things that Moses endured at the hands of Israel. And that's how his meekness was demonstrated. No matter what Israel had did to him, no matter all of the accusations, the rebellions, when the Most High himself got pissed off at Israel and said, Moses, stand aside, that my anger might kindle, that I might destroy this rebellious nation and make a nation out of you yourself. What would Moses do? What did Moses do? Moses would what? He would advocate on Israel's behalf. The very men that started stoning him. The very congregation that would say, damn it, you brought us out here to kill us. And when the Most High got angry, Moses stayed calm. Moses became our lawyer. He became our advocate. And he pacified the Most High's wrath against us. That's meekness. He harbored no resentment against his people. None whatsoever. But Moses was severe. Moses was very severe. So much so that when he got the 10 Commandments, came down the mountain, and saw the people had what? Had made a golden calf and was worshiping it. What did he do? He grounded that damn thing to powder, melted it down, put it in water, and made the whole damn nation drink it. That's what he did. That's some severe shit. That's what austere is in character. In other words, the Most High be about the elders and the teachers laying down the line. This is what goes, this is what's not going. And when somebody violated, you get punished. You got to pay a consequence. That's what austerity is. Because that the Most High is going to bless that. That's how you have to, with that fervency and with that zeal, maintain the standard that Christ has established. You can't be all soft. You can't be all, listen, you're supposed to be tolerant of people's infallibilities, not people's rebellions, or I should say people's fallibilities. We're supposed to be tolerant of one another's shortcomings, not of any of our rebellions. It says, once again, this was the first definition, severe in manner or appearance. Niggas ain't always smiling. A synonym that is along, it says stern, uncompromising. See, you guys did have an elder that compromised beyond the point of where now there was no damn standard. You had that for a long ass time. That's why anything goes, and that's why everything went. When I say anything goes, that means there's no standard. Women come into class doing a damn cycle, not dressed properly. Brothers wearing damn underwear up in church, calling them up in school, calling it shorts. That shit is underwear. The Most High call that shit breeches. It goes under your garment. You're supposed to be wearing, I don't give a damn how hot it is. You ain't gonna melt. You're not chocolate. You're chocolate colored, but you ain't chocolate. So there's a standard. And you're not supposed to compromise in face of that standard. That's why it says to be austere is uncompromising. This is all a part of the first definition. Severe in manner or appearance, stern, uncompromising. It says strict. That means it's going to be done one way and one way only. And if my co-workers, if my co-shepherds got an issue, we're going to take it back and talk it out. That's how I was. A war would tell you, I said, listen, brother, you just have to sit to the side and watch how it's done. You can't see it. That's why I'm the head and you're the follower. And that's how it got built. You have to be in that spirit, huh? And you already have years. You got 18 years of seeing what happened when you compromise. You're not supposed to compromise the standard laid down by Yahweh Shah and supported and built upon by the apostles. Huh? Then it goes on to say what? Forbidding. The teachers are supposed to and are expected to by Christ to tell you what you can't do in this school. That's what it is to forbid. Like you forbid your children to go and hang out with that person. You're not supposed. And then what? Then when you rebel, your ass rebelled, and the Most High got. Then you get chastised, a fair chastisement, but still chastised. Now that is the person in their character or quality. That's one of them. Another one is going to talk about. Let's say this. You have the character, their qualities, meaning the spirit in which they operate. And then you also have the practices that Esau called austerity. We're going to read them both. So let's read a little bit more on the extensions of a person's quality. Listen to this. This is what it is to be austere concerning yourself. Now, the first one, number one, was concerning me as a teacher toward a congregation. That's why it says severe in manner. Cobb is always, frowning with it, whatever. Stern, uncompromising, strict, forbidding. That's in the position of an elder. That's in the position of a steward. Yes, Amayatia.
Can I add on to that?
What verse you got?
It's not a verse. I was looking up Estrella. And
Say that again. Estrella?
Estrella in Spanish, star.
Oh.
and it says astro, which is like austere, and the stars don't move at all.
No, and the Most High tell you that. Explain that again. That's funny because my name means star. You know that, right?
Huh.
But yeah,
So
austere. Go ahead, explain it again.
So I looked up the word estrella in Spanish.
Right, and hold on, so that they can know. Estrella is how you say star. Star is estrella in Spanish. In Hebrew, it's kawakab. Go ahead.
So estrella, and then I looked at the definition of estrella, and it starts off astro, which sounds like austere, and we know that the stars don't move.
Right.
Christ doesn't move, right? He stands firm in morals and the way we do things is meant.
Right. And this is what he's chastising the one man for not having operated austerely. So here, now let's talk about the austere person and the demand that they have themselves under. That's what the definition number 2 is. It says to be austere is for a man to be rigorously self-disciplined and severely moral. I'm going to read that again. These are all number 2. Rigorously self-disciplined. That means discipline to the point where he's not compatible with anything that's what rigorously. Have you ever done rigorous work? Have you ever had a rigorous workout? You ever played any type of what do you call it? Organized sports where the training was rigorous? Well, imagine a man being rigorously self-disciplined. That means self-discipline. That means this is imposed on himself. You be wanting to get him to go to the club, you don't know. He don't anything outside of what his office requires, he don't do it. All the way down to y'all want to see rigorously self-disciplined. I'm gonna this up back in the day down here, brother. Because the most I taught him, and the Most High showed us it all the way down to the music that you do or do not listen to. Because we had a dynamic where we learned how to exercise our minds to the point where only Yahweh Shai and the Most High and our work was on our minds. And so in the process, we found out, and let me say this, and you guys already know this, you got children, they watching Barney in the damn afternoon, you go to bed at night and you hearing that little damn melody in your head. Right, you got Lisa Anderson. I know you be dealing with your fight is another level now, right?
For real.
But I'm using a real life example because that's the truth. So we found out, Amayetza, can you explain the dynamic that you took yourself through in order for the most, and then I want you to also explain and share with them the results that the Most High brought. But when you were in that mentality, also what happened? I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the restroom. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when we had the store in Guatemala, it was like I always say that when I reflect on that whole experience, you see how it was only the Most High, because if it wasn't like a mall where people could see a kiosk or the shop. It wasn't what's it called, like a storefront. There was a building, and our store was tucked in to the left, so you had to walk in and then turn left. So even when you walked inside the building, you still couldn't see it. And so we had to stand on the street, and the first thing was you had to obviously stop these people, engage them in conversation, and then persuade them to actually follow you to go inside this building and into this shop. And yeah, we would be there from we would hit the streets from 9 a.m. and you'll be there often 11 midnight. I'm saying it's the early hours in the morning, like when it's like pitch black, no one's on the street, and you got these black guys, afros, beards on the street, and then you have these Edomites coming in. It was just blow my mind how these Edomites will still follow us into this dark building where you couldn't see a shop, like these Edomite women just coming in. I was like, this is only the Most High. And but what was required to achieve that? The Most High had serious demands, and it's still the same to this day. Like I was reflecting when Kaka was talking about the affliction the Most High puts you through. The Most High required so much discipline of us. I always say how we had to be obsessed with the work. It had to be on our minds. Like literally, I'd be on the street, and I'd be standing. I'd be standing across the street was a other buildings, obviously a wall, and I would literally just be staring at the wall for hours. Just wait for people. People would be walking up and down, and also when people would obviously walk up to me, I would snap out of that and have to go approach that person and try to engage them. But there'll be periods of the day when there'll be no one walking the street, and you just be standing and facing this wall for hours, and your mind had to be in the right place. And the place where my mind would be at would be obviously on the toll that I had to hit, scriptures, just on Yahweh Shai, just like really just locking in, so that was really the process during the workday. But then obviously outside of the workday, there was like no TV, there was no music, and it wasn't like this is something that Carbon imposed. No, in my apartment, I had a TV, I had like music, but the Most High was like, no, you can't do it, because there was times when I'll try and dabble, I'll try to listen to music, and then it would just be in my head the whole time. There'll be a disconnect from the spirit, because the lyrics from those songs would just be going through my mind, and then I just wouldn't feel the presence of the Most High, and I'd go out and just would feel so uncomfortable. It was as if the Most High was saying to me that I will not reside in you in the same place as this worldly hip hop music or whatever it was that I was trying to listen to. And so after trying that a few times, the Most High would always show me what he was. I was always into experimenting. I always wanted to experiment with the spirit to see what I could get away with, or what the Most High was with, what he wasn't with. So I was always trying different things. And the Most High showed me he wasn't down with music. And so it got to the point where I couldn't listen to music. And then TV, they would try watch like some soccer in England. Most of the show wasn't down with that. And then it literally just got to the point where the Most High was just saying, no, I want to eliminate everything. And so when I was at work, what the Most High was showing, he wanted me to be fully present at all times. Kumar often talks about not drinking so that he could, confront the battle, soberly and head on. That's really what the Most High wants. He wants you to be fully present at every moment. He wants you to be fully thinking, fully conscious, fully mindful of him and your surroundings and your life. And so there's the TV, the music, that's all forms of escapism. And so then what is it that you're trying to escape? You're trying to escape the spirit. You're trying to escape the affliction the Most High's got you under. You're trying to escape this life.
I'm sorry, I want you to continue. We grew up hearing it referred to as, and so we adopted it as airing out. Going to get our head bullshit. That's clutter. That's not airing out. That's clutter. I just gotta go and get my air. No, we're gonna air. No, that shit is clutter. Because why? Because it's a break from the process that's tempering you.
Exactly.
Now you get knocked back a few notches.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Art.
Exactly. So you're say really what you're saying to the Most High is you're trying to escape him, as Karl Kopp said. You're trying to escape the process he's trying to put you through. You're trying to water down the whole experience. Really,
you took the word right out of my mouth. You're trying to assuage the heat. You're trying to water it down, and but the Most High is forging you to be able to handle some shit that's coming.
Exactly. So you're seeking pleasure in that moment, and the thing you might think, it's only music, it's only like a soccer game, but it's entertainment. It's feeding the flesh. Whereas the Most High, as I said, he wants you to be meditating on him all the time. And so if you're escaping and listen to music, because that same music it has a spirit to it. And so it's a different spirit now that's, that's entering your body. And so therefore, or your mind. And so therefore you cannot be meditating on the Most High. And that's why the Most High was saying, no, I don't want you doing that. And so obviously at first you're like, wow, this is like, at times you might feel this is boring, because all you're doing is just like thinking the whole time, and just like you're just being focused. But that's when, I realized about, Carl was talking the other day about what we call spiritual stamina. And that is what is required, because we'll be out on the street for like a good 15 hours, eating, like once a day or whatever. So you had to, and just having to be focused that whole 15 hours, it is, for a lot of people, it's not easy. But when your mind is just on Yahweh, the Most High, like, you will do it. And that's how you grow in the spirit. But it does come through abstaining from all these things. And as Kaka mentioned, when you do, if you constantly show the Most High that you'd rather have those things, then he just departs from you. Simple as that. And so I'm always mindful of that, even to this day, that what is it that that I'm really trying to escape? This thing that I called boring or discomfort. It's really, I'm mocking. I'm shunning the spirit of the Most High. And so, you do have to be mindful of that.
Now, in order to, yes, Delia.
I want to say, as a witness, I was a witness to Amiyata's lion-like nature at the zone.
You mean when he was out there with y'all?
Yeah, I was there too.
Drop it on me, man, because I didn't get no report on him. Give it to me.
Very, very lion-like, very commanding, very charming, and then he would pull a person's mind into his mind. It was crazy. He would pull their mind into his mind. It would be like the whitest person in the world. It's ain't just Israelites. I like them Israelites. He could pull a nation, pull them to him, and they'll completely focus on his conversation 100% with no deviation, distraction. And then he would put his hands by their head. He would touch them, but he had big hands. These intense glasses. It was all intense. Big hands, intense glasses, and the clothes was like, because I'm impressed with you by our conversation. I'm impressed by your life. And, you're a great person. I expect you to buy this bottle. It was a different kind of clothes. Like, usually brothers be like, okay, what smells good? You like that smell? All right, well, it's still $39, $49, $59. Which one you want to pick up? His was a spirit of expectancy, because I invested in you and I won you, but because I'm impressed by you, which is a little, he's flattered. But I expect you to buy this. So it was a will, I'm willing you to buy this.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a different methodology, because brothers, everybody don't stop. But you can tell he lived up to his name, fearless. Amiyata's means fearless. Right. You can tell there was no hesitation. There wasn't a drop of hesitation.
Hey, brother, you ain't seen him till you saw him on the streets, brother. I'm talking about a land shark. You know what I mean? Listen, his discipline was such that he would zone my ass out. I would be sitting there talking to him, and it would be like I talking to a brick wall. And he see somebody, he stepped right away from me. Not, oh, hold on, Carl. I'll be standing there like, well, I'll be like, let me just take my ass back in the store. but let me say this, the Most High built, but see that now I was the same way in my zone. He'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We once we got to the point where we understood what member of the body each of us was, I became an auxiliary for him in his capacity. And he was an auxiliary for me in my capacity. That's
also, I just want to add, just going back to what I was saying last week. This I learned that from looking at Carl Cobb's example, getting all the lessons, but and as I mentioned as well, but also hearing about a war and what a war was doing in the malls. Do you know what I'm saying? And how he was being so productive, and how, do you know what I'm saying? It says like, it wasn't that I just got to Guatemala, and then this was all in me. Now, I came from the world playing soccer. I was a big kid in the world. I knew nothing about diligence. I knew nothing about, focus for 15 hours. I didn't have to do that. I was only focused for like 90 minutes. Then it was just out, just like having fun. So coming into this work was very different. That's why I was stressing last week. It's about looking at these elders. These are your examples. Yes, reading the scriptures, but like I said, we have these elders who are, as Kaka mentioned a moment ago, ensamples. So I would just listen to all these stories that Kaka was telling me about, and he's dynamic when he was coming up with the different men, and he just said, okay, cool, I want to be like this, I want to be like that, and just identifying character traits, and then locking into that spirit, and then obviously the Most High then enabled me to blossom in the spirit. But like I said, it was really just hearing these stories of who I perceived men that were much greater than me in Carb in a war, and just wanted to follow it in their sample, and just wanted to achieve the same thing.
Right. So remember, we're still examining Christ being described as, and then him confirming himself as an austere man. So we already dealt with austerity from a steward toward an underling, so to speak. Now we're dealing with austerity toward a self-discipline, a self-imposed behavior pattern, a self-imposed attitude. And this is what we both had to lock in. Listen, I had to lock into this when I came to the truth. When I got to New York, I had one job and one job only when I first got there, and that was learn. 4 weeks later, I was an officer of 100. I took 2 tests in 1 day, and I was the camp driver. I drove the elders who I was appointed to from and to the home and the camp and all of that. Brother, the Most High took me through the ringer. Because one brother, I lived in the Bronx. The first brother I had to pick up lived in East Brooklyn. Then the other brother I had to pick up lived on Atlantic in the lower side of Brooklyn by the Brooklyn Bridge. Then I had to drive back to Ariana's house, which was in Bed-Stuy. Went from Bed-Stuy to Clinton, Brooklyn. Then from there to Manhattan. Teach for hours. We had to be there by noonday. We taught with the microphone and the sound unit until 10 o'clock. That's when all sound device permits ended. And if we had a crowd, we taught until the crowd thinned. So many nights we were out there. We were there every day we were there. We were there from 12 noonday to 10 at night, and then without the mic from 10 to 12. Then we'd go back. I'd have to drop all the stuff off at Brooklyn, at the men's house, the Mount Zion, take Brother Asher back to East New York. But I'd have to take Rakai, he was a higher rank. Dropped him off. I picked him up last in the morning, but dropped him off first in the nighttime. Then I'd take Asher back to East Brooklyn. Then I had to drive my ass back to the Bronx. Then be up early enough to go pick up Rakai again.
Kaka, yeah. See, when I first came in and I heard that story and many other stories, you see what I see. What a lot of these brothers are, they're just hearing these stories. They're not connecting the dots. That story said to me, okay, in this life, I've got to prepare to do whatever is required of me. For the body, by the camp heads. I've got to basically just let go of my desires of whatever I want to do. And so it's just about being obedient and just submitting myself and be prepared to sleep minimal hours. And that's why now I'm able to sleep 5 hours, get five hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Maximum every day.
Shit,
but that's what I'm trying to say. Exactly.
I slept at the red lights, and the niggas would honk the horn, and I wake up and keep on going. Shit.
Exactly. But that's what I'm trying to say. So when you guys are hearing these stories, they're not just stories for you to hear and be like, oh wow, that's you have to do that. Or that's something. No, those are the ensamples, the inspiration, preparing you for what the Most High is going to require of you, because He's going to require the same thing. It's gonna be different, because obviously the time is different, but it's the same. The lessons are going to be required of you to, to learn through whatever dynamic the Most High wants to put you through. So
That-
when you guys
that
are hearing,
is- Go ahead.
so when you guys are hearing these stories about back in the day, how these guys had to roll, identify, okay, what's the lesson in it? What was being taught to them? What, you know what I'm saying? What was being crafted in their character, and then prepare that for yourself.
Right. Now, let me say this. Believe it or not, that's what let me know what I came into the truth, that I was here to serve. And from that, and listen, and that, now I ain't tell you what we had to do once we got to the house to get all the equipment. The brothers, once they saw the type of workhorse that myself and this brother named Zion was, they stopped getting to the house at 11. We were supposed to be there at about 10 o'clock to go up the top floor of a brownstone and bring down more than 200 or 300 pounds of equipment in milk crates of books, big ass signs. The car broke down, we had to take all that stuff on the train. Every man with a piece of something. Talking about 40 brothers on the A train coming from Brooklyn to Manhattan. Shit, we worked out in snow, up to the knees, up to the thighs. I'm not lying to you guys, brother. Up in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, we worked out at Boys and Girls on Saturday at 6 in the morning. The Most High showed me in my first year and 3 months, you're here to serve and never allow yourself to break that protocol. And I didn't. But in order to maintain that was a discipline that was imposed upon me. Wasn't that discipline. I had my own level of discipline, but it was nothing close to that. All of my discipline was carnal. It was about, okay, you know, I got to be the strongest nigga that I know. That was my thing. Anybody come up into that gym, and, you know, within reason, like he had these big ass niggas that I worked out with, they're the guys that got me strong, but I was never gonna be, these guys would warm up with 300 pounds. Shit, come on, Pete, man, slap another wheel on for them. That was my level of discipline. But when I got into the truth, discipline to serve others, put them first, all day, all night, and that broke me. Maybe the first 4 or 5 months, and I had to literally sit back and get the demons out of me, be angry, cry, and okay, are you gonna do this or not? And I said, shit, if I'm gonna do this like everything I ever did. Whatever I ever did, carnal or not, if I give myself over to it, I only do that. And that's what I've been doing ever since. But it took that treatment from others, from my superiors, to impose that on me, for me to see what this was really about. And I couldn't do that and be in a contrary spirit. Your ass be an evil ass conflict, man. So I had to say, no, I relinquished myself to the Most High. And that's where the quote, what it says, rigorously self-disciplined. And I still try to roll like that to this very day. My sons will tell you, what does dad do? He study and teach and work out. Now I study, teach, and rehab. My workout nature is all about recuperating. I get, tired sometimes. I got to go in and take a break because now it's going to go to an injury again. But I ain't broke that discipline. They see it. Because if I don't give it to them, who are they going to get it from? Then I got a son that's 11 years old. So it look like I'm going to be 75 doing that shit by the time he's of age. Well, LT and a Rala could be that for him by that time, right? No, I plan on doing it my damn self. That's what keep you young. It says rigorously self-disciplined and severely moral. That's talking about now your character. There's only one way to do it, y'all, and that's Yahweh Shai's way. That's where the rigorous morality comes in. Christ said, don't sit down and drink with another man's woman. Don't do it. You ain't on no damn level. Nobody is on no damn level where we can just, because I've got this level of teaching, I can be presumptuous. I can exercise or operate in this latitude. No, you can't. You're supposed to be rigorously what? It says rigorously self-disciplined and severely moral. You're supposed to be so moral that it hurts others. When I say hurt others, nobody negative could stand around you. And you'll find out that's how it'll be. This is why, I'll share a paradigm with you. When you know you're rigorously self-disciplined and severely moral, when people start coming and dealing with you in counsel and others, they're going to always go to the others because the others are going to be what? Being telling the shit they want to hear or be soft for them. That's how you know when a person is severely moral. Because what your counsel pushes the same. And many people you're going to find out come for counsel to confirm what it is they want, as opposed to truly hearing from the mouth of the Lord. So you got, I know, listen, I already know, I know the trends with on war. Ain't a lot of people, a war ain't gonna be a lot of person, a lot of carnal people period, gonna come and get his advice because he's gonna tell you how it is. And he's gonna set a high ass expectation. That's what it is to be severely moral. Then you have to walk in that very same severe morality, and that is what requires uncompromising or rigorous self-disciplining. Now remember, what are we doing? We are identifying what it is to be austere, because that's what Christ said in chapter 19 of Luke that he is, and he told us to abide in him so that we could be fruitful. That means our connection to Christ is the quality that we walk in that are his qualities. It's not just saying the information, it's being the information. You embody what the word is. And if you embody it, then there's nothing else that you know how to be or do or teach. There's another one. It says abstinence. I mean, I mentioned abstinence, and with me, with respect to drinking, I don't not drink because I got issues. I don't drink because I explained this to him decades ago, that my objective is to approach the rest of this experience as clear-minded as possible. I'm not one of them dudes that shit gets so rough, now I need a drink. Nope. Shit get rough, I need a glass of water. Get clear. You know, damn supplements. Make sure I'm energized for this. I'm gonna drink out of celebration. That's my vow to myself. Next time I drink, I'm gonna be celebrating. I'm not one of them dudes, even in the world. I didn't drink to get depressed or got depressed and drink. I ain't get women problems and drink. I drink because I like the taste of this type of drink. Shit is the bomb. I like the taste, literally. That's me, taste. I eat food because I like the taste. Don't be giving me no nasty shit talking about it's healthy. You gotta be healthy and taste good. Damn grass, all these vegans and shit. Y'all, I ain't no offense to any vegans out there. I'm just saying, y'all got to step your damn game up. I mean, that's all right. Run around here, won't need to eat some grass. Look at the cow. Look at the cow. Yeah, look at the cow. I'm gonna eat his. But you know, like people are stupid. Look at the cow, how strong. The cow was made like that. The nigga ain't strong because he's eating grass, you idiot. Look at the lion. Look at the lion eat the fucking cow. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying? Who's stronger, the lion or the cow? Maybe you're using stupid logic. But I'm saying the reason why I don't drink is because of the clarity and having something that you can do, but you choose to relinquish that. The Most High honors that and gives you more virtue. That's the power of abstinence. It's not against the law to drink. In fact, the scriptures say, give drink to what? Give wine to a man that's down, and a person that's ready to perish, give him strong drink. Me, I'm saying, damn it, give me some supplements. I'm gonna get through this. I abstain because of the quality. I abstain because of the endowment that it purchases one. And that's what it is to be what? Austere. Because in that spirit, Christ will what? Will honor my work more. But why? Because I'm more clear-minded. Therefore, I'm executing my responsibilities. I'm executing my servitude more clear-mindedly and therefore more effectively. I'm going to read on down. So you have now listen to this. Is the third definition of austere is grave, sober, and serious. So that's like character once again. But now it's talking about the lifestyle. Number 4, to be austere is, it says, to be without luxury, to be without excess, to be without ease. So when you get teachers that start making it be about it's time for me to get paid, when you get teachers whose objective have demonstrated to you that it's about being what? Setting yourself up. That's what excess. Excess is more than you need. I only need what I need. I eat one meal a day. I eat that in the breakfast time between 11 and 12. And then at the nighttime between 9:30 and 10, I eat me this little container of mixed nuts, right? Cashews, walnuts, and almonds with a nice glass of milk. Why? Because that's all I need. If I was out there doing more, I would probably generate more hunger and I'd need more. But when it says to be austere is to be without excess, it means that in every sense. I only need the money that I need. I only need my rent paid, the food in the fridge, and the lights on. I don't need no damn, I don't need to be flying my, listen, I'm gonna show you that. It says without excess, without luxury, or without ease. You're looking for ease, that shit makes you soft. And it weakens your drive. You become complacent. You become less motivated to serve. You exercise yourself into the habit of being served. I'm dropping this, but I hope you guys are seeing the picture in your head on who operated like that. Now let me say this. To be austere, in the fourth definition, it says also is to be simple. That means uncomplicated. Huh? You are what you are who you are, and you do what you do. And all of those are determined by Christ, your calling. All of that, you serve Christ. It says, listen to this. Number 5, to be austere is to be severely simple, but it says without ornament. Because brothers, sometimes they be getting on me about, we always see you wear the same t-shirts. And I've had people buy me, and I wear this stuff. I just don't need to be wearing it here. I wear it for when I need to be out about being seen, so that in business or whatever, this nigga, I always got on that same old shirt. Yes, I do. Because it says to be, yes, brother.
On that also, I looked up other words that are the opposite of austere. We got approachable, sympathetic, well-disposed, bluff.
Listen up. You're gonna have to move your, because I want to hear that. Move your, so that it can come out clearer. Yeah, move it clearer, closer to the microphone, because that's good. Because you know what you could do when you read what austere is, certain men and actions are gonna come into your mind. But when you read the opposite of what austere is, then other men and other examples are going to come in your mind. So that's just as powerful. Go ahead.
So it says the first one is the opposite of, other words that are opposite of austere is genial. It says congenial, easygoing, sympathetic, well-disposed. It says bluff, outgoing, gregarious.
All right. We're going to have to do a separate study on those words because, for instance, when you say easygoing, right? Congenial. Those are spirits that you operate out of. And in this work, I'm going to show you there's a certain, especially in counsel, you don't never get congenial with me in a counsel. You know why? Because I have to relinquish everything that is me, because I have to be the vessel for the Most High to take what you tell me and find it in the scriptures. So I don't get to be congenial. I don't get to be inviting. Yeah, all of those things can be applied to in positive senses as well. But when it comes time to judgment, that's why the scriptures tell you austere, meaning uncompromising, congenial, inviting. And I'm glad that you did that, because I'm going to tell you something. The habit is this in Israel. The habit is this in our work, in our circle of work, where you've had sources of war that have one spirit that he's coming and counseling you. And he be counseling you to maintain a standard. He be counseling you toward a work ethic. If he counseled you to suffer and sacrifice, then you had another source that counseled, and it made men complacent. It made men soft. And those are the same men that haven't come to the school and assumed in all their years responsibility for anything. That's the point. They haven't said, okay, I'm going to integrate myself to such a way. I'm not saying do what you do, like work the malls and all that. Right? I'm saying, what are you responsible for? Just getting information? What responsibility have you said, this is what you listen, and you may never find out. They may be doing it. You got brothers out there that says, okay, I'm gonna be personally responsible for this teaching. And the Most High said that person, even if he gave a prophet or a teacher a cup of cold water, he gets that person's reward. So I'm speaking in the spirit of what? For those who aren't doing anything, not to the people that's doing stuff and Cowcop just don't happen to know about it. I don't need to know about it. Keep on doing it. The Most High is with you. But what I'm saying is that when people come for counsel and they hear something they don't like, the dynamic exists where they go and they get the softer counsel. That's the contrast between austere and congenial. You understand, Amayatia? What you're bringing out is exactly accurate, but my question or my concern, right, excuse me, is that you take what you just saw there, as well as what I'm giving you, and be ready to recognize it in anybody that pop up before you. Because the Most High is not only teaching us how to be, he's giving examples that none of us want to be on how not to be. I don't want to be the example on how not to be. I don't want to be there. I've been the example on what not to do. That shit is bitter. I don't want to be the example no more on the mistakes not to make. Because they're still reverberating today, the repercussion. But having been that, it taught me to be a better example of what to be. And most of what I am now is due to that 1 5-second moment in my life in Israel. That was hands down, aside from learning that I was an Israelite, the greatest lesson I learned in Israel. Literally. And so the Most High is going to use brothers to show you who and how to be. And he's going to use from the very crowd, other brothers to show you who and how not to be. And that's why we're reading Christ. Christ said, abide in me. So that last, thank you, Amayatya, that last definition that we read of, which was the 5th definition of austere, it said severely simple in the sense of being without ornament. I don't need to be in the flyest car. If I happen to need that to get my job done, the Most High will give me that, and he have, and I walked away from it after a couple of years. If I need to present myself a certain way, I ain't stupid. I'm not going to go out there and be over righteous and blow some opportunity for Israel because I'm making it a point to be austere in appearance. But in my general nature, I only need what I need. And I'm a Yatzah can attest to me for that. I only need what I need when I need it. And then outside of that, everything goes to Israel first. Then by my work, the Most High will what? Will give me what I need. Now, why do I say that? Because that's what the scriptures say. The scriptures say Christ sent the apostles out and told them the labor is worthy of his hire. That means what? That means that if you're doing what I have commissioned you to do, don't worry, you're going to get your hire. You're going to be compensated. But in your spirit, we're not out there trying to say people are measuring other congregations for the numbers of men and for their presentation. Christ, to abide in Christ is to be austere, and to be austere is to be without all the ornament. You know, ornament is decoration, because that shit lures men to the flesh. And that's our eternal battle. So why would I want to do anything that lures men to my flesh? Now, the only reason you're going to even want Kawakab, the only reason you ain't want to pass time with me is if you want to be taught. I don't come with nothing else. That's how you have to be for the sake of the congregation and yourself. It's under that spirit that the Most High will have Christ endow you with more of his virtue, with more of his strength, with more of those qualities which comes with which accompanies the insight, which accompanies the ability to go to where you need to go in the scriptures for this. You don't be having this blanket one size fits all mentality when you counsel people. You don't get stuck in one damn mold, one known for one verse. So I'm a Yatazah. Just with the end of that, it's basically saying we become austere in the quality of person that we are. We become austere in our character. And we become austere in our manner of life. That means we be what? We be uncomplicated. We don't be about decoration, whether material or let's say knowledge, right? It's all about service. It's all about servitude. It's all about sacrifice. It's all about suffering. See, if I call myself a priest or allow myself to be referred to as such, brother, I'm embellishing myself. That's a decoration. That's an ornament. I ain't no priest. And everybody, I don't know what to do in no damn temple. I know how to teach the Bible. I know how to live the Gospels. I know how to be an example. But all that ceremonial stuff, wasn't here then. And then Christ is the high priest anyway, and he called me to be a servant. That's what he said. I ain't no general. I never sat in one room with 1,000 men. We had a whole lot in the trooper program back in the day, but it wasn't no 1,000. And all I did then was teach and work brothers out. Work brothers out in the flesh and work brothers out in the spirit. That's it. I'm a teacher and I'm a servant. And the service that I provide is teaching and then an example on how to carry out the teaching, an example on how to live the teaching. That's it. Anything else is an undeserved or unwarranted embellishment of myself. That's the reality about me. Now, other brothers are more than me. I'll admit that. But I ain't going to let you talk me into be thinking I'm more than what I am. Now, so let's do this. Let's go back now to John chapter 15. We only got a couple of more minutes, but I just want to touch on it long enough. And this is where we're going to pick off on next Friday, y'all. We're going to pick up on next Friday where we're leaving off here. So I'm the Yetazah. We're going back to John 15. And I want you to read verse 2 to 4.
John chapter 15 and verse 2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit.
Do not forget that we went to 1 John chapter 2 and verse 18 and 19 to identify why these spirits were purged out. Because they were against Christ. They were contrary to his spirit and what he wants done and how he wanted it done. Go ahead, Amiyatazah.
Verse 3. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you.
So it's the word of the Most High Yahweh Shai that keeps our minds clean. That means pure. It ain't just talking. When it says now you clean, it's talking about your perspective. Huh? If you're catching hell and your disposition is sour, catching hell that you've been appointed to catch so that you could partake in Christ's glory also, and your mind is sour, your disposition is sour and putrid throughout that whole process, what do you think you're going to be? Your mind isn't clean. You're rejecting the cleansing, because for your mind to be clean, that means what? You understand and appreciate and are glad as hell that you've been chosen to suffer for the name of Yahweh Shai. That's a clean mind. A clean mind carries the clean and healthy perspective. And that's in the truth. The scriptures tell you that. What's that Titus 1:15, Amiyatazah? To the pure, all things are pure, but to the defiled and unbelieving, nothing is pure? That's because your
Yeah.
mind is all fucked up. You got the information, but you're angry that you got to go through it. Then I mean, that's Satan in you. Because we're the apostles got their asses whooped in chapter 5, Acts chapter 5, for teaching when the priest told them, we command you not to teach in this man's name? You done filled Jerusalem with him blaming us for his blood. So you niggas did kill him. What you talking about? You filled Jerusalem with it. You the one that turned him over to Pilate. But they whooped the apostles' ass. And it says they rejoiced because they were counted worthy for suffering for the name of Yahweh. That's the spirit that we're supposed to be in. That's what it means when it says, now are ye clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. That means your perspective remains pure. And you're glad to have been chosen to be able to suffer the loss of all things. Continue on verse 4.
John chapter 15 and verse 4. Abide in me and I in you.
So now we know what spirit. You got to be austere. We already know the things about suffering. We already know about long suffering. We already know about forgiveness. We already know. See that? But that's me toward you in your fallibility. That's you toward me and my fallibility. The fact that we're so filled with flaws. But what type of person am I supposed to be so that I can what? Purge myself of the flaws. So that Christ could come and fill me more with his spirit. I got to be austere. I got to be all about him. I have to be all about my calling. I have to be rigorously self-disciplined. I have to be severely moral. I have to be uncompromising in what? In this office of an ambassador, in this office of a steward. You are not mine. You are Christ. And so he has put me in charge of seeing to your health. I'm not supposed to compromise in spite of your flesh and your lust. I'm supposed to be unyielding. I'm supposed to be strict. I'm supposed to be forbidding, first on myself and then on the flock. That's what he means. See, we always focus on the other stuff which we're supposed to, but we don't be focusing on the spirit in which the stewardship has to be executed, because it's in this spirit that Christ told us what? This is how I'm going to give you them talents. He's the one that makes our talents to multiply. But we have to abide in his spirit. We ain't here to tell people what they want to hear. We ain't here to put friendship above the right thing. We ain't here to put friendship above truth. We ain't here to put years working together above what? Above sacrifice and doing the right thing in the eyes of the Most High. If I got to choose between your friendship and the Most High watching me for doing the right thing, adios, brother. If I can even call you a brother. Yetazah, verse 4.
Verse 4 of John chapter 15. Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine, no more can ye except ye abide in me.
So if you don't exercise those qualities, you are abiding outside of the vine. And listen, the knowledge and the experience and the history of the sword of truth speaks for itself. Under whose stewardship, who abided, who did not. Under the stewardship that you're under now, whether a war is abiding in Christ or not. The trajectory and the history and the gains and the loss speak for itself. That's why we're going to deal with the scriptures. I know brothers be out there listening, being mad and shit. Fuck them. Because they be wanting to put friendship and camaraderie. The only friendship we really have is specified later on in this chapter. Matter of fact, let's let that be the last verse. Yetazah, go to verse 14. You're going to read verse 13 and 14 in this very same chapter. We'll finish up on that.
John chapter 15 and verse 13. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
So now Christ laid down his life so that we could be adopted back to the Most High. But now we have to lay down, meaning relinquish our life so that we could be used as instruments to call other people to this blessing. So I no longer am my own. That's what it tells you in 1 Corinthians also. For ye are bought with a price. Ye are no longer your own. It says that we're supposed to be a living sacrifice. Christ died for us, so we have to live for him. That means our purpose is about him. Go ahead, read it one more time.
Verse 14. Ye are my friends. Oh, sorry, verse 13. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you.
See that? That's what determines our friendship. My friendship with any man that I came up with, any man that I came up under, any man that I came up over. It's all going to be determined. And you should measure me by the same standard, by the same metric. Am I following Christ's words? Then he's my friend. But if he's not following Christ's words, then he's not my friend. That's how I am. And I don't have many friends, nay, not even in Israel. Because I'm going to do it the best of my ability. And you know what? You can come through my work and find all kinds of flaws. That's why I'm constant. That's why I'm so hard on myself. Because of the flaws. That's why I have to abstain. I don't got that superpower that a lot of these other brothers got where they could bounce back and forth between all these fucking worlds. I got to stay in the one world, and that's the world of Christ. I don't got that virtue to be able to go out and sully myself and not come in tracking dirty and from out of the world. I don't possess that quality. I don't have that. If you want to call that a strength, I ain't got it. But I'll tell you what I do possess. I know how to stay my ass put. I know how to abstain. I understand discipline. I understand what? Isolation. I understand sacrifice. I understand immersion in the work. I understand not what? The fact that I'm at war and that I'm not supposed to be intermeddling with things that draw me out, like it says in 2 Timothy, with the affairs of this life. Not even my children who the women took away. Until they say, well, I'm ready to come to the truth. So far, only one of them have done it. And so and he's being brought up in this. And he'll tell you, he ain't hear from me from the age of 2 to 19. And whatever he was doing, he was in the Most High's hands. Shit, I can't save it. That's how you got to be. You have to be about this work and let the Most High show you what he does when you fight. He'll fight your battles when you do your job too. When you relinquish your life, put your life in his hands, be that instrument, be that vessel. He puts everything else in order. That's meant to be put in order for you. I'm done. You want any final thing to say? We're going to pick up in St. John chapter 15 and verse 5 next week. All right?
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, I'm going to say shalom.
All right. Shalom.
Y'all brothers fight your battle. I'm going to talk to you.
All right, cool.